Hello, everybody, and welcome into the season finale here in Tuesday Night Thunder Season 5. That's right, it is the championship race, the moment that a lot of drivers have been working all season for. We have got a ton of money on the line here tonight, and we have got a lot of great action in store for you. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Qualifying is complete. Drivers are getting with their teams and getting ready to get rolling. So let's get right down trackside and get into it tonight with your starting grid. We'll note the final four drivers here as we go through the grid as well, starting with your pole sitter, Garrett Maines, one of the championship four drivers. Again, he will roll from the first position tonight after putting down a 54.240 qualifying lap. Jeff Merck rolls off to his outside in second. That's one of the NBG Motorsports drivers. Back in third, it's going to be Matthew Baker, another one of the NBG Motorsports drivers. To his outside, teammate Michael Triscaro in fourth. Back in row number 3, it's going to be Dawson Wise alongside his teammate in the second of your championship four drivers, Landon Velicki. Jared Haynes will start back in 7th for the Jack Shack. And it's Richard Elliott to his outside in 8th. Matt Lee, a little bit of a team switch here this week. He has now moved over to NBG Motorsports. He'll start in 9th. Chris Walker, another one of the Jack Shack drivers, will start to his outside in 10th. Back in row number 6, it's going to be Evan Carlbon starting in 11th with Kenny Reel to his outside in 12th. Moving on back to the 13th spot, Mike Davenport for PGR eSports, and the 55 car starts in there tonight. And then it'll be Trevor Ostronaut to his outside in 14th. Back in row number 8, it'll be the Canadian driver Kyler Wynn alongside the Jack Shack's Devin Ray and the 85 machine. Jason Maines back in 17th. Good to see him return tonight. Daniel Falkingham back in 18th. And then you've got Malik Ray in 19th with Cody Nagels for Nightmare Esports, rounding out your top 20. Stephen Miles starts back in 21st. It'll be Dylan Jones to his outside in 22nd. You've got Ethan Eckert back in 23rd. And then the third of your championship four drivers, Joshua McCullough from McCullough Motorsports. He starts in at that 24th position tonight. He'll have some work to do to get to the front. Stephen Miles, back in 21st. And we actually kind of skipped over one of the championship four drivers when I mentioned Dylan Jones. He was the other one of your championship four drivers, starting again just a row ahead of Joshua McCullough. So then moving on back to row number 13, it's going to be Brock Westmoreland alongside Christopher McCullough. And then back in row 14 will be Tucker McClendon alongside Ken McCullough Jr. Chase Mastretta for Nightmare Esports in 29th. And the last two cars in the field here tonight is going to be Mark Vondell and Jimmy Emos. Looking at your race info, a little bit of a different setup here tonight. Of course, it is the championship race, so we're going to go a little bit longer than we normally do. 100 laps in the Xfinity cars, still 45% fuel. 3 sets of tires in total. No fast repair as always, fixed setups, and then there will be that stage break, which will be at lap 35. No points on the line for that stage break here tonight, but there is a $25 payout up for grabs for the winner of that stage. Talladega Superspeedway, 2.65 miles in total distance, over 30 degrees of banking in the corners, and these long straights which allow for all the pushing and shoving, the tandem drafting that we see. 70 degrees outside, track temp going to be at 81 starting, so grip should not be a major concern with these cars here tonight. Well, we've been saying it quite a bit this season. It all comes down to one race. That's where you really make all your money, and that race is tonight. The championship race with the championship four and a whole bunch of money that is going to be declared to one winner. Here we go. Green flag is in the air. The championship race for Season 5 of Tuesday Night Thunder is underway. All right, just like that, lap 1 already in the books here tonight, and leading up front is the number 5 Coasting Thunder Chevy Camaro of Matthew Baker. He rolls the inside right now with teammate Jeff Merck and Michael Triscaro pushing and shoving on the outside. Still 2x2. The majority of the field, we really didn't see any 3 wide that first lap, and I mean, you know, you think about it, it's a 100-lap race. There's really no reason to be aggressive early, which is probably a good thing for us up here in the booth, because it's going to give us a chance to really set up kind of the picture and the prize money that is on the line here tonight. So first off, let's start with your Championship 4. How did they get there? Well, no surprise. They basically were able to survive through to make it to the playoffs. And once they got to the playoffs, they had to advance through the round of 19, through the round of 8, to ultimately end up here in the Championship 4. First up, you've got Garrett Maines and the 12 machine here tonight. That Ryko Toyota Supra is going to be looking to win yet another Tuesday Night Thunder Championship. He's been here before. We'll see if he can repeat, get the job done here tonight. Back all the way, got to look just outside the top 5, actually a little bit further back, closer to the top 10. Landon Veliky, currently sitting in 9th, the driver out of Lake Martin, Alabama. Again, one of your Championship 4 drivers. He had a very, very strong, consistent season, was the key for the 62 machine. Landon Veliky is one of the NASCAR eSports drivers, even though you see it says OSM on the side. That was the team that he used to run with, now currently a NASCAR eSports driver. You see the logo on the side, and the good news is that by running with NASCAR eSports, Veliky is going to have a lot of help in the form of teammates here tonight. So we'll see how well he's able to work together with them, especially as this race gets closer to the finish. And then back in the 23rd spot, we find Dylan Jones, another one of your Championship 4 drivers. He likes to do this kind of thing that we're seeing right now. Just hang around in the back. We said in 23rd, that is nowhere near the front of the field, but he knows how to get there when the pay window opens. Dylan Jones not necessarily working with any specific teammates here tonight, but he'll be taking it easy until, again, crunch time later in this race. And then last but certainly not least, Joshua McCullough representing McCullough Motorsports, the driver out of Savannah, Georgia. Made it to the Championship 4. I believe this is his first appearance in a championship race as a championship driver here in Tuesday Night Thunder. So he'll be looking to fight for some of the prize money here tonight. Now that we got that out of the way, you're probably wondering, okay, well, what's this prize money looking like that these drivers are battling for here tonight? Let's take you right over to it. This is what it's looking like, and we've got a whole bunch of different payouts. So we're going to break these down for you here one by one. The Championship 4, they're battling for those payouts that you see on the left side of the gray box. Garrett Maines, Dylan Jones, Landon Veliky, and Joshua McCullough are fighting for $600 to whichever one of those 4 drivers finishes the highest up in this field. $500 to the second place of those Championship 4 drivers. Third place to whoever finishes, $400 to whoever finishes third in the championship battle, and then fourth place in the championship battle will receive $300. There's also a battle for the 4 drivers that did not make it to the Championship 4, but made it to the round of 8. That is going to be between Brock Westmoreland, Matthew Baker, Evan Carlbon, and Joe Herta, and the winner of that battle will get $200. Second place in that battle, $150. Third place in that battle, $100, and fourth place, $100 as well. And then last, the drivers that made the round of 19 but were not able to advance to the round of 8 will be fighting for $100 to whichever one of those, I believe it's going to be 11 drivers fighting for that $100 finishes the highest. And then outside of that, of course, we do still have regular race payouts, and these are just as big as the championship payouts. First place here tonight, going home with $250. Second place, $200. Back in third, we'll take home $150. Fourth, fifth, and sixth, all going to be taking home a $100 bill here tonight. And then we talked about some of the bonus prizes, with the stage winner going to be taking home $25, and then the clean driver award will be $50 as well. So if you win, if you're one of these Championship 4, and you find a way to not only get the championship win, but just go to victory lane here tonight, be taking home $850. And for your regular season champion, Garrett Maines, that would be in addition to what he's already won up to this point. All right, so as they cross the line this time, it'll be 7 of 100 laps complete here at Talladega Superspeedway. Up front, still leading the way, Garrett Maines was able to take the point after Matthew Baker has now found himself shuffled back in the 3rd spot for the moment. He's got some work to do, but still plenty of time to do it. And actually sitting in that 2nd spot right now as the lead pusher is one of our onboard views here tonight. That's Dawson Wise. He has joined us up here in the booth quite a few times for Tuesday Night Thunder, but he's down on track trying to help his teammate Landon Veliky find his first championship on Tuesday Night Thunder here tonight. We'll see if those two can maybe work together at the end to get the job done. But right now, you see Dawson, man, just gets a little bit offset there. Garrett down the backstretch, and you hear him have to kind of bail out of the throttle. Realizes that he can't give a push there, otherwise it's going to end probably in a pretty big wreck. Just in front of him on his outside, though, we find the driver out of Punta Gorda, Florida, Jeff Merck. And right now, he is in one of the 2 positions that has the best view in the house, but also one of the most stressful, and that is leading one of these 2 lines. That's the spot that's getting pushed the most, and also the position that's kind of in charge of controlling the momentum of your lane. If you get clear and you don't take it, it's very easy for drivers to be tempted to leave you out. For Jeff Merck here tonight, he will be fighting for that extra $100 bonus along with the regular race payouts. Last but certainly not least, another one of the NBG Motorsports drivers is going to be Michael Trasquero. Right now lined up behind his teammate. See, gives him just a little bit of a shot right there as they go down the Alabama gang back straight away, trying to hold him honest with Garrett Maines, and he'll be able to do so as they work off into turn 3. But sooner or later here, something's going to have to give. I mean, one of these lanes has got to make enough momentum to get around the other, but it just has not happened yet. Trevor Osranoff and the DuPont, actually the JS Pont rather, 89 Toyota Supra. You saw him blinking just a little bit there. He gets it sorted out. And how about this? Long single file line has become the trend here all of a sudden at Talladega with just 9 laps complete, most of the field. When they get in this kind of formation, you think one of two things: pit stops or fuel saving. I have a feeling it may be fuel saving here. I'm trying to do a little bit of mental math, and I mean, you figure 45% fuel in these cars, somewhere close to 20 laps, not quite 20, probably a little bit less, maybe 16 to 18 is usually, I think, the general window that we go with. And so at that, it should be, I would think, a pretty solid one-stop. As long as you can make it to probably right about lap 17, lap 18, kind of the end of that window, should be able to make this a one-stop, at least to the stage, in which we know we'll see a caution. So you don't have to necessarily worry about trying to save fuel in the assumption that this race goes green all the way. Either way, we are certainly seeing a lot of single-file action right now. Let's go back here in the pack to two of the teammates and two of the veterans of Money Racing, Kyler Wynn and Malik Ray, and see if they're doing a little bit of fuel saving right now. We'll hop on the onboard view here. This is for Malik Ray. And as we pull up the dashboard, let's see if we see that throttle, that blue arc, kind of shortening up just a little bit. Doesn't look like it, not from that view. See him running upper 170s, lower 180s in the pack. That is a bit off pace from the speeds we normally see these drivers run, and he doesn't have to push the issue here. He can just ride behind his teammate. He's not necessarily looking to move up yet. He's trying to kind of take it easy, make sure that he manages a good gap so that he doesn't cause a big stack up behind him, but also doesn't run into his teammate in front of him. And when that inside line gets as lengthy as it is right now, those checkups have a tendency to happen quite a bit. But here we go. A couple drivers are tired of the fuel saving, and if this doesn't tell you that they are fuel saving, boy, then I don't know what does. Look at the run that Brock Westmoreland got on the outside. Before was able to go just about all the way to the front by himself, and he's going to stay there as Tucker McClendon will now work on to his back bumper. We'll see if these two make it 3 now, as here comes Mike Davenport. That's going to add another one of the PGR eSports cars up here in this third lane. And all of a sudden, it seems like maybe the pace has started to pick back up, but 3 by 3 off of turn number 2 as they work down the backstretch. Brock Westmoreland, remember, that was one of the drivers that advanced to the round of 8. Couldn't quite make it all the way to the championship 4, but he will also be fighting for a lot of money here tonight, as that was a big slip up. McClendon and Westmoreland got a little offset, a little out of coordination there, and they're going to have to regroup, but they're not going to be able to do it in time. As Brock drops low, here comes Matthew Baker to pick him up. And all of a sudden, what looked like a pretty organized third lane there for a little while has now dimmed back down to just 2. Michael Trasquero going to jump to the outside, see if he can get a run and get even with his teammate Jeff Merck. As they cross the line, this time is now 12 of 100 laps complete. Those two cars on that third lane have now found a spot all the way at the back of that outside line, so they didn't have to fall too far back to get to that spot. About the 78 here tonight. It's a good-looking paint scheme, and it looks like it's maybe a new addition here to the Jack Shack. Evan Carlbon, one of the drivers that I thought was on PGR eSports last time we checked. He's rocking the Jack Shack scheme here tonight. And so they may have added another Toyota Supra to their cavalry here tonight. You see he is running with what I would assume be his technically 2 teammates here tonight. Devin Ray in the 2 just behind him, and then Chris Walker in the 23 just in front of him, a little bit further back. Daniel Falkingham in the 54, one of the relatively new additions to Nightmare Esports. He's going to be trying to help his teammate Landon Velicki find victory lane here tonight. You might be wondering, why do we keep talking so much about these teams? Well, it's because they're going to play such a big role at the end of this race in who is going to win the championship. We've already talked about a couple of these teams. Really, the only odd man out is Dylan Jones. Doesn't have any set team that he's working with here tonight. But as good of a driver as Dylan is, I can think of a couple people that might owe that 11 car some favors back. So if he's up front at the end, watch for him to potentially get some of the help he needs as well. As now we see Richard Elliott. He's going to look to make a surge of his own here to the front. As the Zero Machine, a little wiggly on the outside right there. That's just kind of the natural, little bit of a fishtail that these cars tend to do as you try to set them off into the corner. And then as they tend to unload as well on exit of the corner. Then for Joshua McCullough, the good news for him is he's got a lot of Money Racing veterans on his team as well. They're going to be working to help him here tonight. Christopher McCullough in the 94 making a return here tonight. We have not seen Chris around in quite some time, but he made an appearance in the round of 19, didn't advance to the round of 8, took a break after that, but he's back here tonight again trying to support and potentially help his teammate win a championship. That goes for Ken McCullough Jr. as well. Another one of the veterans on McCullough Motorsports, Mark Vondel, right now finds himself a little bit off the pace and off the field, but he will also be working to try to help out Joshua McCullough at the end of this race. So 14 of 100 laps complete, back to 3 wide at the front of the field. 2 of the NBG Motorsports teammates, Matthew Baker and Matthew Lee, on the high side of the 30-plus degree banking through the corners here at Talladega Superspeedway. Nothing doing, though. They were just kind of testing the waters. And with no momentum, they'll drop it back in line, try to regroup, and maybe try it again here. And we are starting to get close now to that lap number where you would expect to see that first pit stop. And guess who? Look on the outside, further back. You see the all-white machine of Dylan Jones trying to slowly work his way to the front. Kyler Wynn, Malik Ray, Falkingham, a lot of the drivers that have been just kind of hanging around, saving a little bit in this pack, now going with that same strategy. The idea here is go to the front, maybe even go a lap later than everybody else here. Try to see if you can flip track position through the pit stops, if you will. And we'll have to see if that works out. But up front and leading the way here is Michael Triscaro on the outside, Jeff Merck on the inside. As they rocket out of turn 4, nobody going to make the dive below the yellow line to the pits this time around. It's like they're all content to stay out for the moment. Jeff Merck, what is he going to be able to do here? Can he get his teammate Michael Triscaro just a little bit of room to drop down in front of him and line those two up, nose to tail for the first round of pit stops? And the good news, and I mean this is kind of, I guess, the perk, if you will, about the stage. There's kind of a plus and a negative to it. The good news with the stage break is obviously that you don't have to worry about, if you make a mistake on the pits, being completely out of the race. So I think if you're one of these Championship 4 drivers, you can afford to be aggressive. What you can't afford to do is somehow get damaged or get involved in an incident, because remember, no fast repair. Any damage you get, you're going to have to get fixed optionally. May not be a big deal here. And the other thing you want to try to avoid is getting in a wreck for this stage money. It's only $25. And when you put that in retrospect to the money that's on the line for these Championship 4, the non-Championship 4, and even anybody else just going for the race payouts, you cannot get caught up racing for that $25, at least not here tonight. Ethan Eckert back to the number 12 car. Looks like he's got the Menards black and yellow colors on tonight for his Ford Mustang. Right now on the outside, not with a lot of help, Jared Haynes going to fall behind Mike Davenport. And as a matter of fact here, Jared Haynes, maybe one of the first cars to go a lap down, as looks like Mark Vondel has hit pit road. This seems a little bit early here for Vondel, but maybe running by himself, burned a little bit more fuel. Actually, this could be on time, but uh-oh. Looks like Marcus towed. Not sure if he had an issue or what happened. That could be a tough break for Mark Vondel. Here we go, off of turn 4. Will we see any pit stops this time? Does anybody peel below the yellow? Yes, they do. Here comes Michael Triscaro. He's going to lead a whole bunch of them down. Can they all get in clean? Jeff Merck bailed off late. Looks like he will. And everybody else follows in suit without any issues. I see Mike Davenport, Matt Lee, Tucker McClendon, again, Matthew Baker, Jared Haynes. Looks like that might even be Davenport in the 55, along with Brock Westmoreland as well. And now can everybody get into their box without overshooting? Looks like Trevor overshot just a little bit there in the background. Michael Triscaro, he'll get in without any issues. Baker overshoots a little bit, and as does his teammate Jeff Merck. But that little mistake shouldn't cost these guys too much here, and as they will now get back on the loud pedal. Ooh, Jeff Merck. And it's taking longer than he thought. That might be a mistake from Jeff Merck. I think he may have taken some stuff that he did not plan on taking. He did. Jeff Merck either had a penalty coming into the pits or took something he didn't want to. We'll get more on that in just a moment, but up front, do we see some more pit stops this time? Yes, we do. Here comes that second large group. Can they get in just as clean as the first group? 3 wide now. Malik Ray trying to shoot the gap on the inside. He does. Eckert's going to follow. Dawson Wise in the middle. Jason Maines on the outside. But it was one of your Championship 4 drivers, Garrett Maines, who let them all in. Falkingham was in the middle there. And you have got a whole bunch of drivers that followed them in. I see Kenny Reel, Evan Carlbon, Chris Walker, some of the McCullough Motorsports drivers that look like it came in this time as well. And so that will leave nobody out. That will fully cycle to pit stops here as they work back out. And so now the question is, where is that front pack relative to this group right here? The front pack working down the short chute into the tribal now. They are at full speed. This group that is just now coming out, they are not. It'll be interesting to see how many cars these guys can pass up right here. They're going to get at least a few of them. It looked like some mistakes right there. I was trying to figure out exactly who that was. we saw kind of still sitting, not in the pits completely, but sitting close to the pits. Steven Miles and Chase Mistretta, two of the RMR eSports teammates, with some potential issues there. And there goes that group that already pit, roared by everybody else here. You can see from Matt Lee, Michael Triscaro is trying to get up there to push him, but he just can't do it yet because they have so much speed. The draft was just kind of pulling Lee away from Triscaro's front bumper. And now they'll tuck in line behind the draft to Kyler Wynn. Now let's watch this. This is going to get interesting here. They're going to have a run. Kyler's going to have a choice. Does he try to block to go with it, or does he stay in line where he is? Looks like for now he's going to stay tucked in line. Doesn't make the jump yet. Will Landon Veliky try to make the jump? No, he'll stay in line as well. Malik Ray, is he the one that's going to try to do it? Yes, he is. Matt Lee says, I don't think so. He'll go a lane higher. Now Garrett Main's going to jump up to the middle to try to pick up Malik and create a run of his own. Will it be enough to fend off Lee on the outside? Not yet. Lee's clear, but he's not going to be able to bring his teammate. Matt Lee will drop down to the middle. That now pushes Falkingham to the lead on the inside, getting pushed by Ethan Eckert. And leading that high side still, Michael Triscaro getting pushed by Matthew Baker. They're trying to get one more clear here. It's going to be really close. Baker all but was able to get Matt Lee clear. It's not quite enough. Lee tried to jump down to the inside in front of Falkingham into 3, but he just couldn't quite do it. And as they have now gotten back to 3x3, they will be coming to 15 laps to go here in the stage when they cross the line this time. And so everybody should be good to go without having to pit again here for the rest of the stage. They are coming up on a lap car here. This will put them 4 wide just momentarily. And that lap car is Jeff Merck, who we saw with a penalty during the pits. That's what cost him all that time. So Jeff Merck going to temporarily go a lap down, but still plenty of time in this race to try to get that lap back. He'll tuck in somewhere in line with this lead draft. As you see him starting to single file out a little bit further back, but they've done no such thing here at the front. Oh man, Garrett, big push. You saw that car start to slowly wobble up to the middle of the racetrack. Was able to dump Matt Lee off down low though. And here comes the 54 of Falkingham. You can see just how close Falkingham got to the back bumper of Matt Lee right there, but he never actually pushed him. It's so tricky and so dicey to try to push in these cars through the corner. And Falkingham, with that experience, knowing that, just gets as close as he can, gives him pretty much as much of an arrow push as he possibly can, but again, doesn't fully push him because he doesn't want anything to go wrong, at least not at this point in the race. And as Garrett slams the door, see the brief checkup that caused there on the inside, but that pushes the 12 back to the lead. And if Garrett could go for a full sweep here tonight, I said earlier he'd be taking home $850, but I think he'd be taking home more closer to $925 if he somehow completed the full sweep of winning the stage, getting the cleanest driver award, and winning the race, which again would give him that $600 championship payout along with the $250 race payout. It'll be 23 of 100 laps complete when they cross the line this time. And by the way, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. If you've been tuning in since the start, we appreciate you sticking around. Hope everybody is having a good Tuesday night. Good to be back. We had an off week last week. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving as we geared up for championship week here for Tuesday Night Thunder. And we'll be gearing up for more PGR action on Thursday as they'll get back to it after taking a break last week as well, at least from the Thursday series. And so as we get back to the racing on track right now, Malik Ray, Kyler Wynn, those two got lined up top. And that's a really kind of good example right there of how sometimes patience can pay off. In this case for Kyler Wynn, I mean, think about the fact that he didn't really make that aggressive move to the outside when they had a run. He just kind of stayed planted for a minute. Saw Malik Ray, Garrett going up. He knew that they were going to try to dice it up. Next thing you know, he finds himself lined up behind his teammate. Whoa, speaking of teammates, some ex-teammates right there with a close call. Matt Lee was all sorts of sideways off of turn 4. That was due to the push that he got from Daniel Falkingham. Let's pack that up and take one more look, as this could have been disastrous right here for Matt Lee. As he's coming off of 4, Falkingham talked about earlier, try not to push in the corners, but he gets just a little too eager right before they get to the exit. That was a heck of a save there from Matt Lee to hold on, and when you can make those kind of saves, even when a driver hits you in a bit of a vulnerable spot, it can help you out with guys that want to push you. Falkingham's going to be taking mental notes saying, that may not have been the best push, but at least I know that Matt Lee was able to hold on to it. And so they continue on without any further incident. As again, right now, look at that scoring tower on the left. For your Championship 4 standings, Garrett Maines currently leads the field and the Championship 4. Then to find the next closest one, you've got to go all the way back outside the top 10 to Dylan Jones, who currently sits in 21st, or excuse me, not Dylan Jones, Landon Veliky rather, who sits in 11th. And then you have to go back to Dylan Jones, who's in 21st. And then Joshua McCullough currently sits in 23rd. Both of these, actually all three of these cars behind Garrett, still with the lead pack. So there's no issues yet to worry about. But if they're going to fight for this stage break, they're going to have to start getting a little bit more active with the moves, if you will, here pretty soon. And I'm looking back here. Chase Mastretta, Steven Miles, and I believe it's Jared Haynes as well. And the 7 just in front of him. Jared Haynes not on the lead lap. These three, I don't think, are close enough where they're going to have any chance at catching the leaders. Yeah, they're not. 12.7 seconds. And not going to be able to close that gap up, at least not in time here before we get to the stage break. So still 2x2 for about 4 rows deep up front. You wonder if there's still some minute concerns about fuel mileage potentially here towards the back half of this lead pack, and maybe that's why we're seeing some of the drivers just take it easy and kind of ride around single file, or if they just feel like it's not really time to get racing yet. But either way, we're going to have, actually we just hit 10 laps to go on the stage. We're going to have 9 when we cross the line next time, as you see Lee getting a little physical right there with Malik Ray off of turn number 2. Malik lining up for another really big push right here from Kyler Wynn. Kyler not quite enough help from behind to get locked onto his teammate at the start of the backstretch, and because of that, not quite going to have enough momentum to get him clear, at least not that time around. So all these cars that remain 2x2 would be the ones that you would kind of think at least are pretty confident that they're going to go on fuel, which a lot of them were the group that hit a lap later, so that kind of checks out there. The 11 at Kenny Reel, another driver to keep an eye on here tonight. We don't see Kenny all the time here in Tuesday Night Thunder, but making a start here tonight. Not sure if he's trying to help anybody out specifically or just trying to fight for some of those big payouts that we see up for grabs. Either way, we'll have to see what he can do here once we start to come closer to the end of the stage. You see Mike Davenport has now jumped up behind Matthew Baker. And really, I mean, if you're, I know they're only 2 wide for about 4 or 5 rows, but that's still deep enough to where if you're going to try to go to the front like what Brock Westmo is doing right here, you need to really start getting to that outside soon. If you're going to get a couple guys lined up here to potentially go 3 wide, you need to start thinking about doing it here in the course of the next 3 laps or so. Because once we get to within 5 to go here for the stage, things are going to start to get really, really crazy really, really quickly. But up front, they remain pretty controlled for the 12 of Garrett Means, who continues to lead. And on the outside, the 1 of Malik Ray continues to get a very good push from his teammate Kyler Wynn. Watching from the Gopher cam. These cars, by the way, going about 185 miles an hour, more like 180 maybe through the corner, and then closer to 190 down the straight. There's Garrett Maines, as you see him working off of turn 2. Big shot to the rear bumper, but man, is it going to be enough? Malik's got another big run. Looks like it is. Matt Lee is doing a very, very good job right now at managing temps under the hood of his race car and making sure that he doesn't get too hot to not be able to push Garrett, but also pushing him enough so that Malik Ray is not able to get clear. And I brought up the dashboard here along with the weather to just kind of show you, I mean, the track temp, we mentioned it at the start, but a very cool track temp. It's only 70 degrees in the sim, even though it's about midday, and track temp, it's only 82 degrees. So even as these tires start to wear out, handling is not going to be as bad as we have seen it a couple times this season in these cars. It's also going to help with the speeds a little bit, as you saw 195 miles an hour right there as they approached turn number 1. Off of turn 2, look out back. You're starting to see it. This third lane now starting to try to get a little bit of a run going. Shouldn't be too surprised that it's a couple of the Jack Shack drivers, along with a couple of the RMR eSports teammates, trying to make something happen. You saw Cody on the outside. He's actually pushing Devin Ray right now. Just behind Nagels is Chris Walker in the 23, and then Kenny Reel in the 11 is behind those two. Oh, big hit! Veliky hard into the outside wall, up in the air. Excuse me, that's Mike Davenport. Cody Nagels is in it, Chris Walker, Jason Maines, and Devin Ray. Mike Davenport, that car is destroyed. And boy, that made probably a few hearts skip a beat watching it. If you're a Landon Veliky fan, those two cars looked very, very similar. And for a minute, that looked like it may have been the 62 of Veliky who had been running in this pack, but it was not. It was the 55 of Davenport who brings it to a halt down the short chute under the apron. He will not be able to get it refired, so he's going to have to pay the tow bill on that one. A couple of the other drivers involved were able to roll away, as it looked like Landon Veliky was one of them. Or excuse me, I keep mentioning Landon because Davenport's car threw me off, but Cody Nagels is what I wanted to say was one of them. In the 6, you saw the hood fly up. He sustained pretty significant damage here. I believe it'll be fixable, but it may take a little while here. Certainly a tough break for Cody Nagels. We also saw a couple other drivers get involved, so let's go back and break it down here. See where everything went wrong. It was in the middle of the corner here. You see Davenport up top getting pushed by Devin Ray, and getting pushed might be the key word here. Watch. Does the 2 hit him in the back bumper? Right there. Yeah, just a little shot, but it's just in the corner. I mean, if you're going to do it, you've really got to be, perfectly center. And in that case, Devin just gets him just a tad bit offset left. Look how high Davenport's car projects into the catch fence. So they had a bit of a secondary wreck up front. We'll look at that in just a moment here, but show you this again from a little bit of a different angle here. Watch it from the chopper view. And again, Devin's trying to help Davenport out here, and when we talk about not pushing the turns, you can get away with it sometimes, but you've got to be dead center, and Devin right here, just a slight bit offset. And boy, Landon Veliky and Dawson Wise, look how lucky these two were. Davenport trying to save it. If he doesn't overcorrect there, he collects the 9, potentially the 62 as well, but instead he corrects it, gets back up the track. Him and Devin Ray kind of get wedged into the wall. It sends the 55 up into the catch fence before he goes fully over. And the car eventually does land back down on all 4 wheels. Not after taking pretty much the brunt of that one. Some of the other drivers involved. Chris Walker, you see Cody Nagels, a little bit of a push there to Brock Westmoreland as they're trying to escape it. And then, I'm not really sure what happens here, as they just kind of get clustered up on the apron. I think what it is that you have Jason kind of in that weird transition between the apron and then the racetrack, which isn't too bad here. But at the same time, Cody maybe trying to turn down to miss it. Maybe Jason was slightly coming up. I'd be curious to watch this one from the cockpit view here. Let's back that back up here and play at full speed to show you just how quick you got to make these decisions. So here we go. This is Chris Walker. Watch for Nagels here. Chris kind of gets into Nagels after the initial contact happened. So for Cody, show you this from his view again. Does he end up... He sees the wreck, tries to get through it, and then just slight contact. Those two getting tangled up trying to miss it. Him and Jason Maines, and then Chris Walker just kind of an innocent bystander. Some secondary contact there for Chris. Those 3, I think, were all able to roll away. I don't know. Jason... Oh! And then that's a little bit of insult to injury right there. Yeah, that's going to do a little bit more damage to the 6 car. It wasn't that bad, all things considered, it looks like, for Cody initially. But then for Jason here, right as Cody gets back rolling, Jason brings it to a halt. Cody tries to turn it, but just not quite able to in time. So a tough break there, as we'll get just a couple more looks at this here before we go back live. And watch it from turns 3 and 4. That was a massive, massive hit. Mike Davenport, the way that car got projected up into the fence. Give you one more angle of this here before we go back live. Davenport here. There's the contact, gets sent up. Look at this hit. I mean, that has got to be one of the biggest hits that we have seen all season. But a lucky, lucky break for a couple, including one of your championship 4 contenders, Landon Veliky, did not get collected in that one. All right, so as we go back live, getting ready to go back green here. The battle for the stage is still on, as it's going to be Garrett Maines lining up alongside Malik Ray here in the front row, 2 of the Contender Series drivers. And then you've got Matt Lee alongside Kyler Wynn in row number 2. Row 3 is going to be Michael Troscaro alongside Daniel Falkingham, Matthew Baker, Ethan Eckert in row 4. And rounding out your top 10 for this restart, it's going to be Trevor Ozernoth on the inside and Tucker McClendon on the outside of row number 5. So it'll be 33 of 100 laps complete when we cross the line here to grab the green flag. That means it will be exactly 3-lap shootout to determine the stage winner. Again, $25 on the line, but if you're a championship 4 driver, you've got to think big picture. If you're Garrett, yes, I think that you go for the stage win here, as long as you don't have to do anything too egregious. That means if you're thinking about throwing that block, maybe you think twice about it, since it's just for the stage. Now, if you're a little bit further back, say kind of where Landon Veliky is, or potentially even Dylan Jones, Joshua McCullough, then maybe you just kind of hang back, watch these guys duel it out, maybe try some strategy. Maybe they did actually try some strategy. They may have went into the pits here under this caution. In fact, looking at the data here that we've got on it, it looks like after that incident, yep, sure enough, Landon Veliky, quite a few drivers that decided to pit there to potentially top off on fuel, and that way they can take less fuel here at the stage break, and then ultimately the idea would be to kind of flip at least some track position, if not potentially try to take the lead. So we'll have to see how that pans out. Mark Vondell says, out early, internet acting up. All right, well, we appreciate that, Mark. We were wondering what was going on. We saw you off the pace, and then once you went into the pits, tag out there for a little bit. So we hate to see that for you, Mark, but we appreciate you letting us know. as we've already got quite a few drivers either out of this race or still in the pits after that first incident that we had right there. Collected about 4 or 5 of them, and so that'll narrow the field ever so slightly. As here we go again, it's going to be a 3-lap shootout here to decide the winner of the final stage, or I guess I should say the final stage break in Season 5 of Tuesday Night Thunder. Here we go. Green flag is back in the air, and it's a good restart for the front row. Garrett Maines will get the better jump, though. Malik Ray has the better pushing right now. And it will be a race to the back bumper. Kyler Wynn starts to fall off just a little bit, but here comes the help from behind. Falkingham gets close to Kyler. That allows Kyler to get on his teammate's back bumper. And the inside's going to get a similar charge as well. Now, this is the point where you're kind of at that awkward spot, right? This is going to be all about who can push the most, but you might also have to manage temps just a little bit because it's only 3 laps. Realistically, in these cars, you have enough to push all out for 1.5 to probably about 2 laps. That 3rd lap's kind of on the fence. You might need to save just a little bit. That might be what we see Kyler do here, or he'll take the approach of just trying to outpush the 04 Matt Lee, see if he can get his teammate Malik Ray clear. And if he can do that, won't have to worry about trying to manage these temps. Here comes the 3rd lane. Ethan Eckert's going to take a look on the outside. Going with him is the 5 of Matthew Baker and the 27 of Tucker McClendon. Malik Ray pokes a nose out in front. He will be credited with that lap, and it will be enough by the time they get to turn 1 to drop down to the inside. And that'll now put Malik Ray on the point. Now what can Kyler Wynn do? Getting pushed by Falkingham, but there's not a lot of help out back. This front pack, as disorganized as they seem, has kind of broken away just enough to where there's not a ton of help out back, at least not yet. Matt Lee's going to go up to the middle. This will leave Garrett and Malik all by themselves on the bottom, but they're still managing for now. Garrett's going to try to stick on Malik's back bumper as long as he possibly can right here. That's the only way he's going to keep Malik out in front. This will be coming to the white flag in the stage. This is where you really grip the wheel. Whoa, Malik, big save. The bumper falls off of the 1 car. He's going to go off track. Garrett's going to try to let him back up. That'll take those 2 out of contention. 1 more lap to go here on the stage as Wynn's up front. Falkingham's going to split him. That leaves nowhere for Kyler Wynn to go. He's going to stay in the middle for now. Will he jump in line behind? Still staying up top. He's not going to jump in line just yet. Now the 82 works down to the inside. Ethan Eckert, where is he going to go? Looks like he'll stay up top for now. Falkingham throwing a couple blocks. 1 to the outside, 1 back to the inside. Triscaro trying to find an answer, but he hasn't found anything yet. Here comes Ethan Eckert. The 12 with a big run. Is it enough to get cleared? Yes, it is. Eckert's going to get cleared. Doesn't take it just yet. You got to be careful here. You're setting up Baker to make a move. The 12 won't take it. Now Matthew Baker will. Ethan Eckert looks for 1 block. Now he'll look for 2. Nothing up top. He'll have to stay down low. Garrett and Kyler are going to bail. This is going to be a drag race all the way back to the line. Now Ethan Eckert gets out of shape. Matthew Baker up top has the momentum, and he will take the stage at Talladega.
Caution is out. Caution is out.
Caution out immediately as they crossed the line. Race control saw that and decided, yeah, we need to get this stage over with as soon as possible. But how about that? For a stage finish, that gears you up for what we're going to see a little bit later in this race. All right, so Matthew Baker gets the job done, and for Ethan Eckert there, he's going to be wondering if maybe he should have tried to cover the bottom just a little bit sooner. What a race again that was back to the stage, man. There was all sorts of chaos going on. We saw initially Malik Ray lose a back bumper after getting clipped by Garrett. I'm not sure if there was a little bit of netcode involved in him losing that back bumper as well. But then going back to this stage finish here, watch this. As they're coming through 3 and 4, Ethan Eckert's going to have a huge run. He's got a decision that he's got to make right here. You either jump low or you stay up top. He decides to stay up top. Baker gets clear, and Baker realizes that he's got a choice here. He can make the move. And so he's going to go low. Ethan's going to block the initial move. Baker's going to go right back to the top. Ethan can't block it the second time. And at this point, Falkingham's got a big run. He's going to try to line Eckert up. He just can't quite align the way they want to. You know, on the outside, Baker and Lee nice and smooth. The connection's there. And the stage win is there as well for Matthew Baker. So he'll take home $25 just about. Make his entry fee back here for the night. So some good news early for the 5 car. And so now this will bring everybody down for a pit stop. Garrett and Kyler will see if they decide to bring it back down or if they stay out. We saw some strategy there towards the end of the stage. But as they do that, as they gear up to get ready for the final stage, we're going to take a quick break. But we'll go side by side. Stick with us. We'll be right back here at Talladega.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Have created our own drink company. The fastest growing sports drink in history.
We will run! We will run!
Ladies and gentlemen, we got
The monkey has prime!
this season, we are hydrated.
The official sports drink of the UFC. It's time!
Oh, that's good.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3x3.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
All right, welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway as we get ourselves ready for the final stage here in the championship race. As we get ready to go back green, one of the things that we were hoping to do here tonight was to get a couple interviews with some of your Championship 4 drivers throughout the race. We don't have a couple of them in the Discord right now. We do also have a couple of them, so we'll see if we can start first here with Joshua McCullough, who's got some work to still do. Hey Josh, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Gotcha.
Well, you find yourself in the Championship 4 first appearance for Tuesday Night Thunder. Man, there is a ton of money on the line. You're back in 20th. You've got some work to do, so what's going to be the mindset now that we're kicking off this final stage?
I'm hoping they'll all wreck up there and I can just stay in the back and not get killed.
Yeah,
and once I get the 20 to go, I'll try to get up there and see where I finish.
I was going to say, that's a pretty good plan. We see that happen quite a bit, but I mean, there's just so many factors here. We know that there's still fuel mileage to account for. We've seen overtimes in the past. So the other question I got for you here is, how do you kind of work together here? What's the team plan? If we get to the end of this race, you know, kind of in an overtime finish, how do you get lined up with your teammates? How do you guys get in the right position to go to the front and then ultimately try to set yourself up for that win?
Hopefully we all hit our pit stops good and make it to 20 to go, and hopefully we can all line up and they can push me up there.
Sounds like a plan. Well, hey, Josh, you've done a great job so far this season just to get to this point. You're going to win a lot of money regardless of where you finish, but if you want to take home that top prize, we'll see if we're talking to you again here at the end of this race in Victory Lane.
Yes, sir.
All right, there you go. That's Joshua McCullough, one of the McCullough Motorsports drivers. Again, we talked about he'll be lined up a little bit further back here, as right now he is the furthest back of the Championship 4 drivers. Garrett Maines will restart in 7th, and then you've got Landon Velicki back outside the top 10 at the moment. Dylan Jones there as well, and then Joshua McCullough, as we noted, restarting in that 20th spot. All right, so here we go. Going to be 40 of 100 laps complete. That will leave us with 60 to go. So we're not even halfway through this race just yet. We got a long ways to go with a lot of money on the line, and we are getting ready to find out how is this final stage in the championship race going to play out. Here we go. Green flag is back in the air, and we're back underway at Talladega, and it's a good restart for the inside. A lot more organization right there, as the outside is only about 5 or 6 cars deep in total. That will build up here as we work through the first couple laps, but right now it's all Jeff Merck getting the better push on the inside. He's going to try to lead him off of turn number 2. Kenny Reel going to try to hold strong. This is Reel's first time in the front 2 rows here tonight. He's going to have to try to take some control here and get ready because he is going to get a lot of pushing. Kenny Reel, though, another one of the drivers. He's been here before. He knows how to get the job done at these plate tracks, and he's got one of the best in the business pushing him right now. And Matthew Baker, Michael Triscaro just behind him. But, man, I'm keeping an eye on that trio right there. A dangerous trio at that. You've got Garrett Maines with Malik Ray and Kyler Wynn lined up just behind him. If one of those 3 jump out, you might see the other 2 go as well. And it's going to be, again, a tough group to try to get by. So now is when fuel strategy may become a little bit more interesting. You look at what we have left to go in this race. It's going to be right there as we cross the line. We now have exactly 60 laps to go in this race. On fuel earlier, from what we saw, you can only make about, I'd say 16 to 19 laps. It seemed like would be maybe kind of a stretch. From what we kind of saw with that window earlier, 20 laps, that's really starting to stretch it. And with when they went back to green on this, 61, you basically would have to break this up into 20, 20, and 21 for fuel mileage. I just don't know if they can quite go that far. I think they'd have to save arguably 2 to 3 laps worth to make that happen. Now, if anybody can, I think that's the strategy you go with here, but problem is you're going to need at least probably 3 or 4 other drivers that are in the same boat. And we'll learn pretty quickly here if the field commits to that strategy or if the field's going to commit to just making this a 3-stop race and only having to take a little bit of fuel on that final stop. 42 of 100 laps now complete up front. Jeff Merckx still leading the inside. Kenny Reel still leading the outside. Matthew Baker, Brock Westmoreland. How about Brock Westmoreland? Boy, he almost feels like he's dialed it up here just a little bit tonight. And by that, what I mean is the aggression level. Brock, the talent's always been there. He's usually a little bit more of a conservative driver. He likes to be very respectful, doesn't want to get up in the way of anybody. He just wants to go out there and try to win money kind of the clean way. And for Brock here tonight, turning that aggression level up just a little bit, it's paying off right now. He's got himself running inside the top 5. We've seen him already running in that position a couple times. And he could very well be in position to cash out a few ways here tonight if he can get, of course, the top prize in the round of 8 battle. And then, of course, maybe one of the top prizes in the race payouts as well. And again, we'll try to have the totals for the top 3 here tonight, the winnings that they earn, so that you can get an idea of just how much money was given out. And, I mean, really, that's kind of the whole premise behind Tuesday Night Thunder. That's been the original design from pretty much just about when it started. I think they really kind of started going with this format a couple seasons in. But the idea is it's a money racing week-to-week payout series, but still a point series that still runs with a championship. And the idea is that all the prize money gets paid out kind of at the end of the season, so that even though you're fighting for weekly payouts, you're really kind of, the main goal is fighting for those end-of-the-season championship payouts. Good to see everybody in the chat. Hope, again, everybody's having a good night. I'll hold that thought. Here we go on track. Michael Triscaro's going to get split. His 2 NBG teammates make it 3. Said, I don't think so. How about that for move? Kenny Reel right now is saying, well, what the heck happened? He was on the inside with everybody. Now they've all bailed. Garrett's going to try to get clear here of Matthew Baker off into turn 1. He'll be able to do it. Garrett will jump down to the middle. Malik, Kyler, and Brock Westmoreland still all stuck up top. Baker's going to slowly work down to the bottom here. We'll see Kenny try to dive back below Garrett, or is he going to stay pushing where he's at? Garrett's kind of trying to play the middle. He knows that Baker might think of making that move, but the question is just going to be, when does Baker make that move? And will Garrett be able to cover? Now that Malik gets clear, that's going to make that job a whole lot easier, as Malik's going to drop all the way to the bottom so that Baker can't do it. Now Garrett will jump to the bottom, but that move may not have quite worked out here, because Baker with another run. Garrett's going to try to block. Baker says, I don't think so. He'll now go back to the inside. Garrett in a vulnerable spot here. Triscaro tries to line him up. Big push. Now they're getting all over the place through the tri-oval. Oh, my goodness. This is getting really, really dicey with still 56 laps to go in this race, but I mean, what can you say? These guys like to race. When you come out to a super speedway, it's hard to just sit there and ride around. Even if you still have, half the race left to go, they know that a lot of this battling, too, is to set themselves up for track position for this next couple round of pit stops. So we'll have to see how things pan out. Mark Von Dell, a couple others in the chat, helping Buster Malcolm out, who asks, are there cheaper entry fee races? Which I was trying to respond to. Absolutely, Malcolm, there are. And says, could I get into a $5 or $20 race if they were available? Yeah, absolutely. So actually, Malcolm, there's a whole bunch of different series in the money racing community that offer cheaper races. I would say for now, maybe the best way to get started is to hop in the PGR Discord. We do have the link to that Discord in the description, but if you need it, I can paste it in the chat if you would like. And actually, kind of interesting enough that you mentioned that, PGR eSports announcing just today or last night that they are going to be starting a PGR eSports Lite series, which will not have a lot of the pro drivers or a lot of the big-name drivers, if you will. Kind of gives some of the rookies and some of the guys who maybe don't get as much of an opportunity to have a little bit of a better chance. And again, those races will only be about $10 to $15 or so. So that's certainly a good series to start in if you're interested in that. MMS Money Racing puts on a lot of weekly races. Those will be $10 sometimes, a couple times $20. Roughneck Racing, I think those ones are $25. There's a whole bunch. It's just all about hopping in one Discord, and then once you get in there, you can pretty much get all the help you need and branch out to any other Discord from there. So I hope that that helps out Malcolm, and we appreciate you watching. Up top, here comes Kenny Real, Malik Ray, trying to make something happen a little bit further back up front. They finally settled things back down to 2x2 after what was a whole bunch of 3-wide chaos just about a lap to 2 laps ago. And you still see that long single file line. I mean, there's a lot of big-time drivers that are just hanging around right now, not making any crazy moves. You got Chase Mistretta in the 8, lined up with 2 of his teammates here, Daniel Falkingham and Landon Velicky. And then you've got Trevor Ozernoth along with Evan Carlbon, Stephen Miles, Dawson Wise, all just taking it easy right now. Not trying to do anything too crazy, just riding in line. Again, maybe saving some fuel. Christopher McCullough's back there, as is Ken McCullough Jr. Joshua McCullough, who looks like was thinking about making a move out of line right here. As you wonder, is the 05 trying to maybe go to the front now? And the question is, will he get any help? Cody Nagels, was this? This had to be damage he already had, I would have to assume. Yeah, I think it was. That was a bit of a close call right there. I thought for a split second we had a car that tagged the wall. I don't think so. I believe this was damage that Cody had. We'll see if that is indeed the case here as the lappers come by him. Yes, it was. All right, so Cody had that damage, so nothing new there. That was from that incident that he was involved in, which brought out the only caution that we had during that first stage, besides, of course, the stage caution itself. So it looks like he'll tag on with Devin Ray and Chris Walker for now. We'll see how long they're able to stick behind that 6. The front end damage that he has, certainly not going to make that car very aerodynamically efficient. Malik Ray, he's going to try to stir the pot here a little bit more. He'll jump back to the outside. You know, I'll tell you what, one of the things that these drivers were worried about here tonight, a couple of the guys that I got to talk to pre-race, was some of the chaos. And I mean, some of the team games, the team battles, and I mean, in a nice way to put it, some of the ego battles that it's kind of felt like have been going on the last couple of weeks in this series. But, I mean, so far tonight, you really got to give a tip of the hat to everybody. I mean, we've seen, whether you're on one team, on a different team, whether you like the other team, you don't, everybody has been really pretty cooperative. I mean, we've still seen a little bit of the moves, maybe a little bit of the team games, but everybody's been handling themselves really, really well with the moves they make to try to counter each other. We haven't seen anybody doing anything egregious, nothing too aggressive, at least not yet. And just as I say that, Kyler looks up top for a little bit of a block right there. Brock Westmoreland tries to go lane higher. Malik Ray says, I don't think so. He'll go back down to the middle. That'll leave just Brock with Kyler Wynn on that third lane at the moment. So as they cross the line this time, it'll officially be 50 laps complete. That'll put us at the halfway point. Actually, it'll officially put us at the halfway point next lap, which is when we will see 50 laps to go in this race. So we still have a long time. Still the distance that we ran in stage 1, plus about 16 or 17 more from there. That would discount overtimes if we were to have any. But now, look at this third lane. They're starting to get something going because the middle has really started to die out. Kenny Real just no help. That's been the story for Kenny Real up here at the front. He just has not had anything to do right now up front. I mean, he keeps trying, but it seems like he's kind of by himself. Nobody's wanted to really stick with the 11 all that long. And so Kenny Real's going to have to fall to the back of this trio here of Kyler Wynn, Brock Westmoreland, and Malik Ray, as he'll try to roll back up with some momentum now. Further back, you see Tucker McClendon, the lone car on the outside towards the middle portion of the pack. He's trying to climb his way up to the front. Ethan Eckert still running fourth on the inside after, boy, that stage just slipped out of his grasp. But the good news there for Eckert, I know I kind of mentioned it when we looked at the replay about, you know, maybe he goes back and tries to redo that move if he gets the chance to. Well, if that's the same position at the end of the race, kind of the same setup, he maybe will know that maybe he should jump down to the inside sooner. Who knows? We'll have to see what the 12 decides to do, but as of right now for Ethan Eckert, still in very, very good position with 51 of 100 laps complete. Jacob Emery, Danny Barnes, good to see you in the chat. Hope that you guys are having a good Tuesday night as well. By the way, I did want to mention, as it looks like we are currently at about 27 viewers, Michael Troscaro, if you're in the Discord, series owner and PGR eSports owner, I should say PGR eSports series owner, was mentioning earlier that For PGR eSports, we are just 60, I believe it's 68 or 67 subscribers now away from being able to go to the YouTube partnership program, which is a big deal for PGR eSports. It would allow us, or allow, I guess I should say, you guys to start giving any donations if you want. Of course, by no means is it required, but if you ever like what you see and feel like you want to leave a couple dollars here or there through Super Chat, you'll have the opportunity to do that. You'll be able to leave certain stickers, highlight your messages, any sort of thing. So looking forward to that and hoping that that can maybe help generate some extra revenue for PGR eSports and all the events that they put on. And again, we got to get to 500 subscribers to do that. I'll be looking into potentially doing a giveaway once we get to that 500 subscriber mark. Got to talk with the owner a little bit, but something along giving away one of those nice PGR eSports jerseys that we see to one of the random 500 subscribers that are dedicated to PGR eSports. All right, here we go. First round of pit stops. Everybody gets in clean, and boy, it's surprising when you see how many of them all came in at once, and they were 3 wide, about 5 rows deep, but no issues as this is going to bring in Malik, Garrett, Kyler, Matt Lee, Matt Baker, Jeff Merck, Michael Triscaro, Kenny Reel, Trevor Oswald, Jared Haynes. Looked like we talked about Malik Ray. He came in. I saw Ethan Eckert back there as well, maybe even a couple others. So we'll have to see here if they can all get out just as clean as they got in, and you got to assume now that this is going to kind of force the hand of the rest of the field to make their first stop now. And when you look at the laps that we have left to go in the race, they're not going to make this on a 2-stop. They have dedicated now that they're going to have to do 2 more stops from this point. And, of course, 3 stops for the group that's still out on track. Landon Veliky, he's going to presumably lead them into the pit sequence this time around. We'll see if they can all get in just as clean as the first group. And, wow, look at that. Veliky and a couple others actually stayed out. Maybe they are still going for some strategy play. Joshua McCullough, though, is not. He will lead his teammates in. Christopher McCullough, Ken McCullough Jr. It looks like the 0 of Richard Elliott decided to go in with these guys as well. So the call here should be full fuel and I believe just 2 tires. Don't think you can afford to take anything else, and maybe they may not have even take tires, actually. We'll have to see what happens here. Either way, back up front we go. And you see the 62 of Landon Veliky. Right now, Veliky still leading his teammates. I mean, it looks like there's a couple drivers in this group that aren't Nightmare Esports teammates. Arguably Evan Carlbon. But then after that, Tucker McClendon, Jimmy Emos trying to hang on to this group. And they don't bring it down this time either. Okay, so now this starts to stir the question a little bit. There's 2 things they're trying here. One is either they're going to try to make it on pure fuel mileage, or number 2, they're just going to try to go as long as they can so that they take the least amount of fuel on that final stop. And for that strategy to work, they've got to run as fast a laps as they possibly can right here compared to some of the cars that have already pit. So we'll compare a couple things here for you. But you see Landon Veliky. Let's look at the last couple lap times here for Veliky. 50.608, 50.604. Go down and compare that to one of the groups that already picked, Garrett Maines. What has he been running right now? Looks like he's got a 50... Well, we can't really count either of those last 2 laps. This will be their first lap under full pace. Let's see what they're able to run right here as Garrett's right now pushing Kyler. And for Kyler Wynn, looks like that last lap is going to go down as a 50.905. Oh my goodness. So that second pack was flying compared to the leaders. They may be in trouble here with the amount of time they lost, but they'll bring it down this time so that they lose no more. And they all get in clean. Again, Mistretta, Chase Miles, or excuse me, Chase Mistretta, Stephen Miles, along with Daniel Falkingham, Landon Veliky, Dawson Wise, the 78 of Evan Carlbon, Tucker McClendon is there as well. And that group's going to have some work to do now if they want to get caught back up with these leaders. So we'll have to see how exactly they all merge out here as Kyler Wynn roaring off turn number 4 with a push from Garrett Maines. And we'll see if this push is enough of a push to get them clear of everybody that just made a pit stop. Evan Carlbon just now working out of the pits. He had a brief issue. He may be in some trouble here. In fact, all these guys might be. We go to the rear chase cam. That'll show you just how quick Kyler Wynn is coming. He's got a big run. Falkingham may be one of the only drivers that can tag on. In fact, he's going to be kind of a crucial car here because he's going to kind of act as the bridge to try to pull his teammates up. Now up to full speed. He's going to have to try to merge back on track. There he goes. He'll get it behind Dylan Jones, but obviously not up to full speed yet. He'll have a couple more cars behind him here that are at full speed. They're going to try to go by. Falkingham again, acting as a bridge for everybody else out back. Joshua McCullough, he'll drive by, as will Richard Elliott, Christopher McCullough, and Ken McCullough Jr. And now that they duck in line, I believe, and again, I don't want to say for sure, but I believe that this whole group should have enough momentum to go up there and try to catch the leaders. They can see them out of their windshield, and they are officially within a second, so they'll get there. And in fact, just to kind of show you what that time delta's been doing over the course of the last couple laps, it's been kind of all over the place, most arguably. But if we go up to Kyler Wynn, Compare that to what him and Garrett Maines have been doing. It's a little bit all over the place, but the point is they've been overall closing. And that'll continue to happen now that they've, of course, caught the draft. And so 57 of 100 laps complete. And just like that, we are back to single file throughout the entirety of the pack. And the good news here for Falkingham and really the rest of Nightmare Esports here that was able to tag back onto this group is it looks like Falkingham is going to be able to pick up at least Veliky and Dawson Wise. Although it doesn't look like Steven Miles is quite going to be able to hang on. There's too much draft getting pulled in front of them for Miles to be able to hang on. He's still within a second, so I wouldn't count it out just yet. But I just don't know if he's quite going to be able to stay close enough. Falkingham, though, now arriving on the back bumper here of Ken McCullough Jr. Once he gets there, it'll be interesting to see what they do. Dawson Wise, you see him dragging back just a little bit. He's trying everything here to keep Steven Miles in the vicinity. And it's close, but it's just not going to happen. Steven now is trailing to over a second and a half out of the draft, so it's not going to work. Dawson's going to pull right back up now to the back bumper of his teammate, Landon Veliky. So now that'll start to set things up a little different. What I was getting ready to mention is this works out well for Falkingham, Veliky, and Dawson Wise because of when they pit. They pit last of everybody else up here, and by not just one lap, but by quite a few laps. So if they can stick with this group until we get to that final green flag pit stop, on that last stop, they will be able to take, you think, significantly less fuel than everybody else. And if they can get any sort of a breakaway, that could be all the advantage that they need to try to bring this thing home. We'll just have to see if it indeed pans out that way. It's going to get interesting. Up front, though, Kyler Wynn leads the way. Garrett Maines in second and currently leading the championship for battle. Then you've got Jeff Merck third, Matt Lee in fourth, with Malik Ray currently rounding out your top five. Chase Mastretta, they will now put him a lap down as the 8 car are going to be looking to drop in line further back behind some of his Nightmare Esports teammates. By the way, you look at the other championship 4 drivers and where they run. Dylan Jones currently 11th, Joshua McCullough in 12th, and Landon Veliky currently sitting back in that 16th position. Danny Barnes in the chat says, I donated Austin. It did not pay off very well for me, lol. Well, Danny, you know what? I can't blame you on that one, man, but it is what it is. It's the way it goes sometimes, but like I said, it's a little bit of a different setup for anybody who's not seen Super Chat before. I'll show you a little bit about it once PGR gets to that point where we have those, but certainly a pretty cool little setup, and again, always helps us out here at PGR eSports, even if it's just $1 here or there. We always do appreciate it. And so up front, Kyler Wynn still leads the way. As you've got Garrett Maines pushing, and man, right now, nobody wants to make the move out of line. It's almost like a cat and mouse game, but nobody's really opted to try to make the move yet. You wonder if they're all just in fuel save mode, or just kind of keeping it conservative mode, knowing that we still have 40 laps to go in this race when we cross the line this time. Go by the 98 of Jimmy Emos there. And this will put Jimmy Emos another lap down. In fact, speaking of cars that are lap down, you got Chase Mastretta, currently sits a lap down. He is the first car a lap down, and then the second car that's a lap down, I believe, was Cody Nagels. You'll see it there on the scoring tower as it goes down to the 20th place running positions. Yeah, sure enough. Looks like it is Chase Mastretta, then Cody Nagels a lap down. Jimmy Emos 4 laps down, a couple others 12 laps down, and then still about 2 to 4 cars that are scored out of this race after either incident or technical difficulty, such as the blinking issues that Mark Vondell had earlier. So as things continue to stay single file here at Talladega, we're going to go ahead and take another break. We'll go side by side so you don't miss any of the action. Stick with us. We'll be right back at the championship race.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
have created our own drink company. The fastest growing sports drink in history.
We will run! We will run!
Ladies and gentlemen, we got
The monkey is prime!
this season, we are hydrated.
The official sports drink of the UFC. It's on!
Oh, that's good.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by three.
Almost in trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. Now 65 of 100 laps through the championship race for Season 5 of Tuesday Night Thunder. By the way, Tuesday Night Thunder will be making a return for Season 6. A couple of big changes. It will be invite only, and that should be getting started up here in just a few weeks, so stay tuned for that. And the other big announcement I wanted to make, the PGR 500 has officially been announced, along with format, dates, entry fees, all the information you could want over the PGR eSports Discord and also on the PGR eSports website. Just look up PGR eSports on Google. You can find everything there. It's going to be the biggest sim racing event of the year, so make sure you check it out. You do not want to miss it, whether you're going to watch it on the broadcast or participate in it. It is going to be a fun one. It's going to be in the next gens. Got a lot of big names from Coke drivers. We're going to try to hopefully have some real-life NASCAR drivers and then all the big iRacing names in between. We've got Podium 500 winners that'll be in there, ERA Omega Cup winners that'll be in there. I mean, just the whole debacle, if you will. So make sure that you tune in or get yourself involved in that one. I will either be broadcasting or racing in it myself. I'm looking forward to that. All right, back on track. Kyler Wynn still up front. 66 laps now complete. We know that there's still going to be 2 more pit stops. The question is going to be, when do we see those pit stops happen? I think it would be probably at least closer here to the about lap 70 mark is when we might see that next stop. So maybe anywhere between 3 to 7 laps or so from now, maybe even 3 to 6 laps from now. Garrett Maines, though, you see he is not going to make a move here on Kyler, just ducking out for a little bit of air. Jeff Merck right now in that 3rd spot. Matt Lee 4th. And you've got Malik Ray back in 5th. There's Ethan Eckert currently sitting in 6th. Move Malik. Took a brief look at a line right there. Matthew Baker back in 7th. And you've got Michael Triscaro in 8th. As Malik, I'm not really sure what he's doing here. Either way, the one car, unless it's a signal of pit stops, but I don't think it would be. I think there's still a little too many laps to go, at least if you want to be safe for overtime to pit yet. But let's see here. Do they peel down? Nope, doesn't look like it. Malik can make another jump and then immediately goes right back down. Nonetheless, they continue to stay in this long single file formation here as they work through the trial, and this single file line goes all the way back to Richard Elliott in the Zero Machine, who currently sits in 18th. Remember, it is top 6 payouts, knowing that we still have, well, I said initially 2. I'm looking at, yeah, it would still be 2 pit stops to go. We're going to have one here relatively soon, and then we'll have one more after that. You know that you're going to kind of thin the herd, or I guess I should say, make this lead pack a little bit smaller through those 2 pit stops. And so is Malik Ray here doing a little bit of messing around, I think. I'm not really sure what's going on, but either way, Malik Ray messing with Ethan Eckert and a couple of others, I would assume. I'm not sure, but this is really stacked up the whole pack. I don't know what's going on here. We'll see what they do. And it looks like they've got it sorted back out. I don't know what these guys do on track sometimes. It's hard for me to figure out. I was trying to figure out if maybe Malik was messing with us a little bit up here in the broadcast booth. But either way, the rest of the field going to try to get grouped back up here as Malik trying to get a big pull. I mean, I don't think he's saving any fuel. That's not from what I can see here. 191 miles an hour. Yeah, he's not saving any fuel. You wonder... Boy, this would be I really, really doubt this is what it was. The only other thing I was thinking was, unless he was trying to somehow break this pack apart, maybe try to cause a couple of guys to lose the draft, but I don't think that was it. I think he was just messing around a little bit. Either way, everything's grouped back up, so we're right back to where we were. And it looks like Falkingham and Veliky, they've seen enough. They're going to try to move a little bit closer to the front now, as Falkingham will lead the charge. Veliky is going to do the pushing. I thought for sure we'd see a couple of McCulloughs go with him, but that's why they jumped out, because pit stops. Here we go. Can everybody get in clean right here? A lot of lockups here. Tires are starting to wear out a little bit more, but it looks like everybody does get in clean. You see a couple of your championship 4 drivers. They went in that time. The only one that didn't was Landon Veliky. Joshua McCullough, Dylan Jones, Garrett Maines all decided to go down to the pits, and they got in without issue that time. Cody Nagels, you see the 6 still trying to get some damage fixed. But for everybody else, looks like so far everybody's peeling off without any issues. Was it a clean round of pit stops by everybody? As going to see that one of those second groups pit here. Evan Carlbon, Stephen Miles, Kenny Reel, Tucker McClendon, and Jared Haynes. And as we wait to see Richard Elliott, along with the 2 of Devin Ray, looking like they're going to be the last 2 cars to pull back out on the racetrack. And as these guys try to get back up to speed, will we see some more pit stops here? Yes, we will. Jeff Merck going to lead a bunch of them down this time. And a couple of big lockups right there. We didn't get all the drivers that are going to pit just yet. This was the NBG group. Jeff Merck, Matthew Baker, Matt Lee, and Michael Triscaro. So we still have at least one more group that's got to make a pit stop, but this makes sense that they have stayed out, because for Daniel Falkingham, Landon Veliky, Dawson Wise, they're all still good to go on fuel. They can run as many more laps as, well, they can probably realistically run 2 or 3 more laps. I don't think they will, though, because they've only got 3 cars, and it just, well, they've got 4. It looks like Chase Mastretto, who's, even though he's a lap down, has been able to stick with these guys. But I just don't think they're going to be able to run the lap time they need for this strategy to work out quite as good as it looked like it initially was going to. So I think that the best idea here is going to probably be just pit as soon as you can. That's exactly what they're going to do. Falkingham will lead him down. Mastretta is going to come in even though he's a lap down. And Dawson Wise and Landon Veliky, of course, will follow in suit. Veliky's going to get down with that issue. He's going to quickly try to file in line here behind Falkingham. Mastretta is going to immediately just drive into the pits. He'll get to his pit box without issue. Falkingham now goes down to his. That'll leave Veliky and Dawson Wise to pull into their respective boxes as well. And 1 box apart, they both get in without any issue. And so for Dawson Wise and Landon Veliky here, the question now is going to be how quickly can they get out, because Garrett Maines is roaring off of turn 4. He's got a head of steam with just about the whole pack behind him here. Luke Gray, Ethan Eckert going to be pushing for all it's worth right here. They want to try everything possible to get ahead of the Nightmare Esports group. Look at the speed difference. 189 right now for Garrett Maines, 191. Daniel Falkingham just now hitting 150. And the problem here is they've got the 98 of Jimmy Emos in front of them. This is not helping. They did not need the 98 in this position. They're going to have to try to, yeah, I was going to say, they're going to have to try to get around that 98 as quickly as they can. But, I mean, it worked out, right? They had to take less fuel. And so that initially got them to track position. The problem is they don't have enough speed to hold on to it. We'll see if they try to break up here at all or try to block any of the momentum from any of these lanes. Not going to do it yet, but what this did do was get Nightmare Esports all back together. Not all the cars are on the lead lap. Whoa, Dawson Wise is going to get turned. Dawson Wise is going to go back up into the pack. Caution is out. How much damage did the 9 get? Doesn't look all that bad. I think he's okay. But boy, another incident and a close call again for some of your Championship 4 contenders. Looks like most of the damage here on the 9 car is going to be sustained to that left front. As Dawson will try to limp it back to the pits here. I think he's okay. That doesn't really look as bad as it certainly could have been. I think he gets lucky here. Kind of a brief tap on the wall versus what it could have been. But what happens here to get these guys so out of shape is the big question. Let's see, does Dawson get a shot from his teammate out back? That's the first question. They start to check up a little bit. Yeah, it's going to be a checkup, and then the checkup is going to get back to Chase Mastretta, who gets Dawson just a little bit in the left rear. That starts to shoot Dawson up, and there may have been brief contact with Malik when Dawson got up the track, or maybe not. Either way, as Dawson's starting to come back down to try to save it, Chase Mastretta clips him. And for Nightmare Esports, that was kind of a self-inducing accident right there that collects 3 of the teammates. And Landon Veliky, one of your Championship 4 drivers, he did indeed get just a little bit of damage right there. I think he's okay. He did not get much at all, but certainly know that again, had to kind of make his heart skip a beat. And he's probably right now screaming at the team saying, guys, what are we doing here? We're supposed to be teammates. Obviously no intention, though. They're just to check up and when you run together as teammates, you can tend to get collected in wrecks that happen in close proximity. And right here, there's the slight contact for Veliky. Man, these guys are all so lucky that that was not much worse than it could have been. Even Dawson Wise, and when he slid back up, I thought he was going to get just absolutely clobbered. He didn't. That was the good news here, but see as he slides up, there's the first hit, and then he's going to have a second hit right there. That was still a pretty good shot. I don't think it's enough to end his night by any stretch of the imagination. Watching it from just a couple more angles here before we go back live. That was the initial view that we saw as Dawson gets back up. Boom, there's a contact, slides back down. Somehow everybody else does a tightrope back to part the seas and miss it. So for Dawson Wise here, let's go back and look at this one more time from one more different angle here. Go to the zoomed in shot again, and I'll show you this hit again. A little bit slow motion. So right here, Chase does a pretty good job kind of driving off of Dawson once the wreck starts. He starts to spin out, but he'll save it down low. Slight contact from Veliky, and then up top here, so we're going to see that other hit for Dawson Wise, and then for Chase Mistretta as he slides down. Look at some of the cars here. They're hoping on everything that the 8 car saves, and he does. So as he continues rolling, they're all able to get by, miss him. No further incident there to be noted. Dawson Wise looks like the car is just about cleaned up, so he'll be able to get back out with the rest of the field as go back live up front. Malik Ray currently being scored as your leader. Then it's Garrett Main second, Kyler Wynn in third, with Trevor Osmanoff in fourth, and Christopher McCullough currently rounding out your top 5. It looks like it's going to be just under 25 laps to go once we get back to green flag racing, so we'll have to see here. I mean, these guys are still going to have to make one more pit stop, but I think it's only going to be, I don't think there's really any fuel saving that's going to have to go on, I guess is the point that I'm trying to make here. So we'll have to see how they decide to go about racing here once things happen. But either way, I mean, that's still plenty of time to make things happen. I know we got a pit stop too. I feel like that kind of makes you feel like you have even more time because you really don't want to necessarily make the race-winning move until after that final pit stop. Hopefully thin the pack out a little bit. We'll have to see what they decide to do here. Of course, everybody coming in to top off on fuel. Maybe a couple of drivers taking tires. Remember, you only had 3 sets in total, too, so you have to be a little bit conservative and kind of selective on when you take tires. Certainly want to take 4 if you have a spin, but know that you've only got 3. You got to be careful with it as well. All right, so as we go getting ready to get back to green flag racing, I do want to see if we can get a quick word here with one of your championship 4 drivers, Landon Veliky, about that last incident and how he's feeling here going forward. Hey, Landon, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, first off, man, close call. What was going through your mind right there when you saw a couple of your teammates start to get together?
We got a wreck up here. We got a wreck.
Oh. Yeah.
Yep, that's interesting. Sorry, yeah, that was a close call. That is just a big checkup, I guess, and you know, I mean, I don't know. It's all good. I don't have any damage. I didn't get anything from it, so still in this race, but it's going to be interesting to see if people pull off with like the 5 to go. I'm sorry, there's 5 lap difference right now to make it to the end of the race, so they're probably going to pit in the next like 6-7 laps. I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, just looking back on it right there real quick, I think what happened was that Jimmy Emos, I think he downshifted. Either way, that was a close call in of itself, along with the incident that, of course, happened on track. But before you get back to green flag racing here, I mean, you got a little bit of work to do here and less than 25 laps to go, knowing there's still a pit stop. What's the game plan here? Do you get aggressive now, or do you try to stay conservative and hope that we get to that green flag pit stop?
I really don't know. I mean, like, preferably I'd like to be aggressive. I hate sitting around at the back, but just gonna play it how I see it, I guess. I mean, I got a good group around me. I know I trust Falkenham. I trust Cody. He's back on track. Chase, Dawson, all them. I think we're gonna do fine.
All right, well, looks like any maybe minute damage that you had is cleaned up, so the car's ready to get back to racing. We'll let you go, Landon. We appreciate you talking to us, and good luck the rest of the way. We'll see if we're talking to you in victory lane.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
All right, there you go, Landon Veliky. And you kind of saw that incident there. Again, Jimmy Emos, we didn't have enough time to go back and look at it, but I could hear it. You could kind of see it there. I think what happened is when he tried to slow down, he downshifted to first. Too high RPM, spun that car out. It also blew the motor. So for Jimmy Emos, that is probably going to end his night as well. All right, here we go. We've been waiting for this number all night. The magic 25. 25 laps to go in the championship finale here at Talladega as the green flag is back in the air. And it's a good restart for both cars on the front row. Now, which lane is going to get more organized first? Right now, it's the outside, but now it's going to go back to the inside as Ethan Eckert quickly jumps in front of the 94 of Christopher McCullough. And McCullough Jr. up there as well. This is what we start to see at the end of these races. Certain names that have been kind of just hanging around, chilling out, starting to make their way to the front. Dylan Jones in the 11 on the outside. He's starting to creep closer and closer to breaking into the top 10 now. And he'll move up to 9th. Landon Veliki's trying to get closer to the top 10 as well. Joshua McCullough still going to have some work to do. He's back in 18th. But still has plenty of time to make something happen. Garrett Maines right now on the inside, getting pushed by Kyler Wynn. Malik Ray on the outside. And then Trevor Ozranoff pushing his Jack Shack teammate. We haven't had a chance to really see kind of these duos or these pairs get linked up for most of the night. Again, Malik Ray, Kyler Wynn, two of the Jack Shack drivers, but we haven't seen them working with the usual guys like Trevor, Devin Ray, Chris Walker. That's just because they haven't been able to find each other all night. Now that they've finally started to do that, chemistry's starting to get better, but what I'm thinking right now for a lot of this field is we've had a couple of wrecks tonight, and a lot of drivers have gotten away from them. Usually that's an indication that we're going to see a big one, and when we see that big one, it's going to collect a whole bunch of names. Now, at a certain point, you got to kind of say to yourself, all bets are off, I got to go for it. But kind of making that decision can be tough because you don't want to go up too early if you feel like you're too aggressive, get yourself caught up in a wreck, but at the same time, you don't want to wait too late and then get yourself caught up in a wreck somewhere in the middle of the pack in the process of trying to get up there. So we'll have to see how different championship contenders decide to weigh this out. Garrett's in good position here. He's trying to maintain. He's kind of on the defensive, whereas you look back to, Dylan Jones, Landon Veliky, and Joshua McCullough, they're kind of on the offensive, especially Joshua McCullough, who doesn't really have too much help in terms of teammates back there where he runs. So he's going to have to try to get something together here pretty soon to get up here with his teammates if he wants any chance of getting to the front in these next 22 and a half laps. All right, here comes the third lane now. This is what we were waiting to see. Who is it going to be? It's going to be the NBG Motorsports teammates. Michael Triscaro, Jeff Merck going to jump out. Now Matthew Baker is going to join the trio as well. Yes, I should say join the duo and make it a trio. Will anybody else jump out now is the question. Nothing doing yet. The 3 wide. This is kind of that point where drivers feel like it's all about track position. They know that one green flag stop we have left is kind of set in stone. The only questions that I think will remain with it is, do we see some drivers choose to go in early? Do we see some drivers choose to go in late? Or do they kind of try to split it down the middle? Devin Ray jumped to the outside, but boy, he got left by all 3 of the Nightmare Esports teammates. Dawson Wise, Cody Nagels, and Chase Mastretta all jumped back to the middle. They're going to try to see if they can find some momentum, maybe jump to the outside. We'll have to see what they decide to do, but they're still 3 by 3 battling for the lead down the backstretch. Matthew Baker, not enough momentum to get clear, at least not that time. Whoa, man. Michael Triscaro, he really started wiggling around as they got into the entry of the corner right there. And for Michael Triscaro and really everybody, it's just, you got to, and we talk about this all the time, it gets kind of worse as tires wear out. It's not too bad when you still have relatively fresh tires, but the idea is that you've got to set the car going into the corner. I mean, you got to kind of point it in the direction that you're going to want to enter the corner in. You try to turn the wheel once you get into the corner. On new tires, you're okay, but once tires start to wear out, that has a tendency to kind of upset the car, start to get you out of shape. And of course, that can lead to some issues as the run goes on. But man, Michael Triscaro, he is pushing for all he's worth here on Matthew Baker. You see him ducking out for a little bit of air, then he slots back in line, tries to get a little bit offset to the left side. Still not quite enough to get to get Matthew Baker clear. Great run going right now for the NBG Motorsports teammates. And I mean, really, you got to give a shout out here to Jeff Merck as well in 9th and running in this 3rd lane, because he's had kind of an up and down night after the early pit stop penalty in pit road, was able to bounce back. And here he is still fighting for a couple of prizes here tonight. Of course, the $100 bonus if he can be the highest finishing playoff driver between the round of 8, so the drivers that didn't advance to the round of 8. So now it's just 20 laps to go. Still 3 wide up front and still 1 pit stop remaining in this race. You can see that 3rd lane is now starting to die off as I think they've just kind of ran out of temperature. And now on the bottom, Kyler, he's getting a little bit squirrely here off the push that he's receiving from Ethan Eckert. And it's always interesting because when you watch these guys enough, you know which drivers can take pushes a little bit better than other. And I can tell you right now that Kyler Wynn, Garrett Maines, I mean, those are 2 drivers that just about anything you try to give them, they're going to be able to handle in terms of pushing. And so when you start to see Kyler wiggling around a little bit, that tells you that maybe the pushing he's getting is not quite as smooth as it should be. But Kyler does a good job hanging on to it, still has himself in the lead. And boy, he would like to win this one here tonight, not just for the money, but also maybe a little bit of bragging rights to some of the teams that he's been in a little bit of a rivalry with here the last couple weeks. 2024 Podium 500 winner, teammates with Malik Ray, has certainly shown his presence in the money racing scene for good and bad reasons, but whether you like him or you hate him, the guy's talented, the guy's won a ton of money, and he's going to continue to do it because he knows how to do it. So for Kyler Wynn, if you're a fan, it's looking good here tonight. Maybe it's his night. We'll see if he can get the job done here to round out the season. All right. Matthew Baker has kind of made a bit of a resurgence now in this top lane. I think the assumption here is that Michael Triscaro was able to cool his temps down enough to kind of start pushing again on the back bumper of the 5, but I still don't know if they quite have enough momentum to get up there just yet. Malik Ray, Trevor Osronoff, maybe a little bit of contact there with the outside line, but they keep it together, and there it is. There's the big run. Whoa, Michael Triscaro briefly followed his teammate Matthew Baker down into Malik Ray, but Baker, that big shove from Triscaro, was able to get the 5 clear. Looks like for Triscaro and Merck, they're going to now fall to the back, but Baker up on point on the outside now. Garrett's going to jump to the high side. Matthew Baker gives him a big shove down the Alabama gang back straight away. When they cross the line next time, it'll be coming to 17 laps to go. So as they've gotten back to 2x2, we're going to take one more brief commercial break. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing, and then we will stick here all the way to the finish. Stick with us as we come to 17 laps to go at Talladega.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Have created our own drink company. The fastest growing sports drink in history.
We will run! We will run!
Ladies and gentlemen, we got
The monkey is prime!
this season, we are hydrated.
The official sports drink of the UFC. It's time!
Oh, that's good.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by three.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
All right, welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway, the championship race for Season 5 of Tuesday Night Thunder. Just 14 laps to go here at the high banks. And man, action has been picking up. You saw it all over break. We saw some 3 wide at the front. That 3 wide has now transitioned a little bit further back. Malik Ray still leading that third line with some help from Jeff Merck and Brock Westmoreland. They are sitting again towards the back half of this lead pack at the moment. Looks like Jeff Merck's going to bail. That'll leave just Malik and Brock. I don't know how much longer that momentum will last, but either way, don't forget, still one stop, one green flag pit stop remaining that we expect probably to be, I mean, they could realistically, I think, probably go as long as 6-7 laps to go. I think realistically, maybe you try to go in around 10 laps to go, but we'll have to see how they decide to play it out. And this is the money stop. I mean, you cannot make a mistake on this one. There's not even going to be that many laps once they come out of the pits, which means that if you are behind it all, you may not have time to catch back up. So you're going to have to be perfect on entry, can't slide through your box. And the other thing that you got to watch out for is if we see this big group, everybody going to be pitting, trying to get everything they can, knowing it's the final stop. Cannot get yourself collected in an incident. How about Landon Veliky? Boy, he has been working his way back to the front, and just in time, he has gotten himself all the way to the lead now as we're coming to 12 laps to go. You saw Chase Mastretta bail out there in the back. He's going to make a pit stop. Man, he was flying into the pits right there. Not sure if he got it down to speed, but either way, Mastretta setting up here for the finish, even though he is not on the lead lap. For Veliky, you saw him and Kyler maybe bump doors just a little bit right there going through turn 1 and 2. And remember, Landon Veliky, Garrett Maines, those are 2 of your championship 4 drivers. Whichever one of them finishes above the other will take home the championship prize here tonight. It'll be 11 laps to go when they cross the line next time. I think we are now probably within about anywhere from 2 to 4 laps away from when we're going to see that final green flag pit stop. Ethan Eckert in the 12, still kind of running in that 4th spot on the inside. Seems like where he's been for a lot of the night. As we see another car peel off right there. I think that was Chris Walker. And yeah, sure enough it was. Looks like Cody Nagels is going to actually follow him down as well. Interesting mix of strategy here from some of the Nightmare eSports teammates. Either way, with 11 laps to go now, you wonder, is it time for drivers to start single filing out? We said pit stops in the next 2 to 4 laps last lap, so I would think that you really got to start thinking about either getting to the inside or you're going to make up your mind that you're going to try to make this final pit stop from the outside. Now, granted, for Daniel Falkingham and Matt Lee, well, their sole goal here is to try to get that 62 car clear. If they can get Veliky clear and he jumps in front of Matthew Baker, that'll put Landon in great position going in and then arguably coming out of the pit stop as well. But nothing doing it just yet. Matthew Baker still on the inside. Nobody going to drop below the yellow line this time. They'll now be coming to 10 laps to go in the race. And this 2 wide, not going to turn into 3 wide just yet. They'll stay this way until they get through that final green flag pit stop. That's when all hell is going to break loose. All the way back, you see the single file action just in front of Dylan Jones is where it starts at. Actually, I guess Dylan Jones is kind of the start of the single fileness. It goes all the way back. Joshua McCullough, Kenny Reel, along with all the other drivers that are just sitting here kind of riding right now. As Nagel's in the pits here, I wonder if he's trying to get some more damage fixed. Not sure what the deal is we see Chris Walker and a few others still in the pits. I'm not really sure what happened to those guys. We saw them come into the pits, arguably not with damage. And they have been stuck there since. Either way, coming off turn 4, let's see. Will anybody decide to peel down this time around? 10 laps to go. No, nobody decides to go in. Chase Mastretta in the 8. He is going to have to fall in line somewhere here. We'll see if anybody chooses to let him in. And so now single digits. 9 laps to go here at Talladega. A championship on the line for 4 drivers and a whole lot of money for everybody else. Falkingham finally able to get the job done. He pushed Landon Veliky clear. Veliky dropped low. And I think you're not going to see Matthew Baker try to jump out of line at this point. He is content with staying behind the 62. Now the question is, can Falkingham or anybody else also find a way to get clear up front? Veliky, man, that push got him all out of shape. Good save, though, as they work into turn 3. Pit stop's going to have to be coming in the next 1 to 3 laps. I don't see them going really much longer than that. I mean, if you try to come in with 5 laps to go, that gives you 2 laps to organize, and it's 3 to go. So here we go. We're going to see pit stops this time around. This is about when we expected them. Can everybody get in clean here? That is a massive group of pit stops, too. Veliky with a little lockup. He gets in okay. A little bit of bumping and banging further back, but, man, look how many cars brought it into the pits all at once. And that's about as beautiful of a sight as you could possibly ask for. They were, I mean, I can't even tell you how many cars they had all come in at once. I think it was about 20, maybe just a little bit less. But let's go back and see if we can actually show you that green flag stop right here. What it kind of looked like here for some of these drivers. Again, this was a really, really good job. Everybody getting in nice and clean without any issues. We'll back it up show you this just one time before we go back up front. And watch this. They're going to all fan out. 3, 4 wide. And everybody's trying to get all that they can here to the entry to the pits. A lot of lockups, but man, for everybody to get in at this point in a race, that just adds to how good of a job everybody's been doing here tonight. And hopefully the finish is going to reflect all the great racing that we have seen so far. All right, so here we go. They're going to start to work their way back out now. Cody Nagels is going to tag up with Daniel Falkingham. You see Landon Veliky trying to catch his teammates as well. Matt Lee's there along with a couple others. And the goal here is that there is going to be a break somewhere in the pack, but I don't know if it's going to happen here. There's a lot of kind of cars bridging off of each other, if you will, right now. I think that's kind of the best way to put it. Looks like Malik's going to try to fall back and grab Kyler here, and he's still plenty within range to grab the draft off of Matthew Baker, so they won't have to worry about losing them at this time. Here comes Matt Lee, Garrett Maines, Matthew Baker. They're all going to try to make the move around the Nightmare Esports drivers. Is it enough to get clear here? Veliky's going to try to follow. 62 Landon Veliky here is going to try to follow Matthew Baker and company all the way around. They're going to drop below, though. That's going to stall the draft. Veliky won't be able to get any more pull. Now you see Falkingham move up. He's going to try to pull Veliky in front of his teammate. Does just that. And it is now 7 laps to go. It looks like we may have seen a couple of brief issues here with the pit stops. This was the first group that pit. I believe Triscaro gets just a little bit wide into the grass here. Yeah, he does. Not sure if that ended up resulting in a penalty for Triscaro or not. And then Ethan Eckert here. This is coming out of the pits. Does Eckert have an issue here? See 12, the bright yellow car in the middle, trying to find room. Ooh! And he gets sent around up into the wall. Surprised that didn't draw a caution. That's a tough break for Ethan Eckert. Tries to get back rolling, but got a caution. His chances of it are done. Here we go, up front. Veliky makes a move down to the bottom. It's now going to come down to a 2-man duel between himself and Garrett Maines. Maybe not, though, because look up top. The white machine of Dylan Jones now making his way to the front. Man, Christopher McCullough, where did he come from? Just kind of hanging around, and all of a sudden, look at this. Him and Dylan tandeming down the back. Almost enough momentum to get the 94 clear. Not going to happen yet. But Dylan Jones, who right now sits in that 4th spot, I mean, you see 3 white outlines on the scoring tower. Those are 3 out of your 4 championship drivers. And now Garrett's going to make that move back down to the bottom. And I think what you're going to see now is Garrett is not going to make any other move, at least not yet. He may still try to control a little bit here if he trusts Matthew Baker enough. But what he's keeping an eye on is that 11 of Dylan Jones. He knows if he runs where he is right now, Landon Veliky cannot get by him. He just can't. There's no way for the 62 of Veliky to get around. All he can do is push Garrett, unless, of course, Dylan Jones or somebody else gets up closer on that 3rd lane that makes Garrett maybe try to push the issue and try to jump to the middle. Veliky, though, going to continue to push for all it's worth. Looks like right now. Oh, watch out. Oh, man. He got stuck in the back bumper of Garrett Maines. You saw that. Veliky, though, was able to catch it in time, as was Garrett. Now there. Whoa, big save. Veliky's trying to save it. Lee's going to do the same. More contact. Can everybody hold on to this one? And that stack up translates all the way out back. What a save that was. They all hold on. Looked like that stack up got back to a couple of the teammates. Veliky holds on. Malik Raid's going to get clear as he jumps down to the bottom. And it is now just 4 laps to go at Talladega. We've got to get to the white flag for the race to be official. Malik Ray versus Matthew Baker trying to take home the winning prize money. Matthew Lee gets turned. Big hit out back. We got one in the wall. Caution is out. Jeff Merck's in it. We got a couple of others involved. Looks like that might have been Tucker McClendon who slammed the outside wall of the 27. Major damage. I don't see any other drivers stopped on track. So again, I do think that may have been Tucker McClendon that took the big hit. McClendon going to try to drive it back to the pits here. But a late caution. And this is going to send us into overtime. Interestingly enough, too, it's going to put Garrett Maines and Landon Veliky on the outside if current scoring is correct. We'll have to wait till iRacing officially updates it for the start before that is the case. But if it is, boy, that's going to be interesting because you know that Landon's going to be trying to jump to the outside. Garrett's going to be trying to make a move to the front. And you can't forget about Dylan Jones, who will be starting in 7th, just behind those 2 as well. All right, let's go back and take a look here at what happened to bring out your 4th caution here tonight. 3rd one for incident, as they were getting ready to go into turn number 1. Looks like it's going to start right around Matt Lee and Jared Haynes. And for Jared Haynes, I don't believe he was on the lead lap at that time. I think he was a couple down. But either way, let's see what happens here. Is Matt Lee going to jump up in front of Haynes? That's kind of what it looked like. You see Matt Lee on the bottom right here. Jared Haynes goes to the middle. It's a little bit of run, and then Lee's going to try to jump up and just maybe arguably not quite clear. I mean, I think the fact that Jared Haynes did not move his line and Lee still kind of got hooked off the front bumper at least implies to me that you can make the argument there that Lee wasn't quite clear, and Haynes is even drifting up just a little bit too. So unless there's something that I'm missing here, I think that one is just on Lee not quite being clear. And obviously Matt can argue that, well, maybe Jared should have cut me a break, but Jared's saying, why? I mean, I've got the lane. It's late in the race. I'm not cutting anybody a break. And so for Jared here, here's the onboard view. Jared's in the middle. Lee just comes up. Haynes says, I'm not lifting. And then it was actually Jared Haynes who took the brunt of the hit. That's the car that got turned hard into the outside wall. You see that right front suspension bouncing around. And that car is junk. And he's not going to be able to even drive that one back to the pits. He's got no right front tire. So he pretty quickly paid the tow bill on that one. Let's show you a different view here. This is from the zoomed in shot. Once Matt Lee got sent down, that was Ken McCullough Jr. who ended up ultimately turning the 7 after the contact all started. Nothing he could do, of course. And you just see everybody piling in here trying to find somewhere to go. And there's just really not many spots to go to, if you will. Saw Jeff Merck on the apron here as they're all trying to save it. And I saw a brief issue here that Cody Nagels had some trouble on the backstretch. I'm not sure what that issue would have been, as he just slides to a halt. Yeah, I'm really not sure what happened there for Cody. Brought it to a halt and then he towed again. It's been a very interesting night here for some of these drivers. As for Cody here, let's see what happens. The wreck's going to happen out back. And Cody's not involved in this. You see one get turned out back and then just start wrecking them up out back. You see a couple more cars get turned. They all end up driving out of it. It was really only Jared Haynes who took the big hit. Really interesting to see there for Cody to tow it. We'll give you a couple more angles of this before we go back live. Not the way that I kind of saw this race ending with as clean as it's been so far. I thought for sure these guys were going to make it all the way to the white flag, but now that we're going into overtime, that could certainly complicate things a little more. Give you one more look at this here on TV2. Big hit again for Jared Haynes. Just going to bring his night to an end along with maybe a couple of others, knowing that there is no fast repairs and only going to be 2 laps to go. And so as we do go back live, you notice some fuel saving. Couple drivers here. It is going to be a concern. You hear Matthew Baker. Car was off. He had the clutch in, coasting. So we'll have to see if... I think they're going to be good for at least 1 overtime. It's going to be if we start to have 2 or 3, where the questions start to kind of be asked, if you will. And this one going to be... We'll see. I think we're going to get the 1-to-go signal this time. And so we'll explain the overtime rules in just a minute. But again, you've got Matthew Baker leading the way. Malik Ray second. Kyler Wynn back in third, with Garrett Maines in fourth. Christopher McCullough back in fifth. Landon Velicky in sixth. And Dylan Jones in 7th, with Daniel Falkingham 8th, Kenny Real 9th, and Joshua McCullough now back inside your top 10. So you're going to have all 4 of your championship drivers inside the top 10 right here. You see Merck talking on the radio there just briefly. So as we do get ready to get back to green flag racing, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you're just tuning in, we appreciate you hopping in late. And if you've been here, we appreciate you sticking around. Don't forget, if you like what you see and you're not subbed, please leave us a follow. Trying to get to 500 subscribers. We are getting closer and closer to it. It'd be nice if we could get to that point before the PGR 500 here in just about a month, almost 2 months' time. Looking forward to that, but man, we got to wrap up what has been a thriller so far here tonight. A very clean race. Again, 4 cautions in 100 laps. And you got to remember, one of those cautions was for the stage breaks. We really only had 3 cautions in the course of 100 laps per actual incident. So a very, very clean race up to this point. However, 2-lap shootout, that means things are going to get wild here. We'll have to see what happens, but the rules are simple. You got to make it to the white flag for this race to be official. If the field can't make it to the white flag before we get a caution, we'll rack them up and try it again. However, if we take that white flag, all bets are off. Race is official. And so now, I mean, this is a really, really interesting spot for a couple of drivers. First off, Garrett Maines and Landon Velicky, right? Because they're in a position here. Garrett's in the best position right now. He would normally probably be content here with just pushing Matthew Baker, but he knows that Landon's going to try to make that move eventually. So then you got to ask yourself, if you're Garrett, what do you do? Do you stay in the middle? Do you try to jump to the outside to block Velicky? That's going to be the big question. For Velicky, the good news for him is he's got a teammate behind in Falkingham, but then a little bit more bad news is that it's Joshua McCullough just behind him. So the idea that I was initially thinking is that if you're Velicky, you have your teammate Falkenham trying to set up the run, tell you when to go, but Joshua McCullough might make the move before that, and it's going to dice things up. And to throw all of that into a blender, don't forget about Dylan Jones, who's going to line up fourth on the inside. If these guys get to battling too much, he can find a way to steal it from his position. Either way, this is going to get crazy. Here we go. Malik Ray versus Matthew Baker for the win. A championship on the line for Garrett Maines, Landon Veliky, Dylan Jones, and Joshua McCullough. Green flag back in the air. 2 laps to go at Talladega. And a good restart for Matthew Baker. Almost enough of a push to get clear. Not going to happen. Note further back. Dylan Jones quickly jumped up to the top of the racetrack. Him and Joshua McCullough might have to work together here to get to the front before they start racing each other. Falkingham's going to have some work to do. He's got to manage that run. Oh, big check up here. They're trying not to wreck. Oh, man, what happened down the backstretch? It's not going to bring out the caution. Now they try to organize 4 or 5 wide. This is not going to work out. There they go. Now they're starting to beat and bang. Contact. Richard Elliott's around. Now Jones will get turned down to the apron. Can he save it? Will anybody come back up on track? Caution is out. Do they all hold on back up front? It looks like, at least for the moment, they did. Did Dylan Jones find a way to hold on to that? That was the other question. Looks like the 11 may have. I don't see any front-end damage, at least not yet. Joshua McCullough, I think he's okay. Landon Veliky, Garrett Maines, I think they survive as well. But, man, what in the world happened there? Well, this will send us into our second overtime attempt, so fuel mileage was a question already. Now it starts to become even more a one, and let's just see where... I mean, this all starts pretty much halfway down the backstretch, if even that far. And I'm not really sure what happened here, if it's a push gone wrong. I mean, this actually starts right as they come off of turn 2. And so we'll go first here. See if the zoomed-in view is going to show anything. All right, so right here, Garrett's pushing Matthew Baker through the corner, which is okay in this case because they're getting up to speed. You see Kyler Wynn doing the same thing to his teammate Malik Ray on the inside. It works to a pretty good degree when you're still getting up to speed. But again, we said it earlier, you've got to be dead center. And what is Garrett starting to do right here? He's just getting just a little bit offset. The push might be sending Baker up a little bit, but it's still getting him offset. That's going to turn Baker down into the one of Malik Ray. And boy, I think Malik and Kyler being there is pretty much what saved Baker. They're all over the place now trying to save it. Kyler, Malik, Christopher, McCullough, Landon Veliky all jumping low. And then at this point here, you just got everybody trying to figure it out. And, I mean, for Chase Mastretta here, I just don't know if he realized... Well, he actually gets into Kenny Reel and then comes back up. If he would have stayed down, they may have figured it out. But as he starts to come back up, there's more contact. You've got Dylan Jones trying to slot in line here in front of Malik. It looks like he initially does. Then some kind of checkup gets him a little offset. Garrett's going to tag him in the left rear. That sends him across the nose of Landon Veliky. And obviously one of the big questions here was for Veliky, is he okay through this? I think he is. A 62 looks like he survives that. Jones comes oh so close to hitting that inside wall, but he somehow saves it, keeps it together, and he really had one of the craziest views through this entire incident. Let's go back and watch his onboard from turn 2. Remember, this wreck started off at turn 2, and it didn't actually end up happening, if you will, until we got to turn 3. Dylan sees that. He jumps to the outside here. He's trying to go with the momentum. Gets clear of a couple, and now he's going to try to jump in line behind Malik Ray. Size up for the push. Gets a little loose. Next thing you know, he's going around. And then look at this wicked save right here. Man, it does not get much closer than that. Lucky that they did not wreck again up there when they got 4 wide right as the caution comes out. Again, a very, very lucky break for a lot of drivers here. For Richard Elliott, did he have another point of contact here after? It's the question. Right there. Oh, he does. Richard Elliott did get turned around. Does he hit the inside wall? Oh, unfortunately, he does. It's not heavy contact, but it's enough for Richard Elliott. So he was able to get back rolling, but man, what a crazy sequence here. Starting to unfold really, really late in this race. In our first overtime attempt. Give you one more view of it here before we go back live. We'll go look at it from the blind cam. Just watch again this whole thing unfold from start to finish for all the drivers that were involved. It all starts up front with Matthew Baker. It's all going to translate out back eventually to Richard Elliott, Dylan Jones, and a couple others right there. And Garrett maybe even got stuck. Did he get stuck in the back bumper, Matthew Baker? He maybe did. It's just too hard to tell. I mean, either way, he is a little bit offset, but it may be similar to what we saw happen with Veliky and Garrett, where Garrett kind of gets stuck inside the back bumper of Matthew Baker and kind of ultimately creates that issue. And then Richard Elliott back here, boy, he almost survived. He was wheeling and dealing through it too up to this point right here. contact starts, and then Joshua McCullough, he got some damage there. Again, I don't think it was anything significant. It's going to cost him this race, and then see Mike Davenport in the chat saying, come on, Landon. And I was wondering here, did something happen that we missed? I think that's a come on, Landon, as he's wanting him to win the race for a split second. I thought he was saying something happened there, but it appears that that is not the case. Okay, so as we go back live now, wow, Ken McCullough Jr., still a lot of damage. You see him at the bottom of your screen there, going out of view. He was trying to get more damage fixed during this caution, but still not going to be enough to really be competitive. But, I mean, I don't blame him for staying in the race. I'm looking at it here. We've only got 21 cars on the lead lap at this rate. And so with 3 laps to go, I mean, you have a chance just if you're up here. I mean, you figure they have a big wreck on the last lap. You'd be surprised. That's your chances of potentially getting in a money position. But going back to what I was getting ready to say is, I mean, lights are off here. You've got Christopher McCullough, Kyler Wynn lining up on the front row. And I know he's not a Championship 4 driver, but how cool of a win would this be for Christopher McCullough? Comes back after a bit of a break and wins kind of in his first race back. That would certainly be a bit of a story. Then you've got Falkingham, Malik Ray, row 2. And the first of your Championship 4 drivers is Garrett Maines back in row 3 on the outside. Veliky and Jones the next two in 7th and 9th. Brock Westmoreland separating them in 8th. The problem is they're on the inside, and they pretty much, I think, know at this point, with as far back as they are, if you're Veliky or Dylan Jones, your only real shot here is going to be you have to get up. I mean, you just have to find a way. How that's going to work, I'm not so sure. The other problem here for Veliky is he does have some front end damage. That car is not going to be as fast out in front as he would hope. And so, this is a tough call for Veliky because you don't want to go in because you're obviously afraid that if you go in, you're not going to be able to get back out and get that track position in time with just 2 laps left. But that's a significant enough amount of damage that I would worry a little bit about the speed that 62 machine has, especially if he gets out in front leading a line. Garrett Maines, not much, if any, damage. I think he'll be okay. Either way, it's still going to be an all-out shootout. Second overtime and same rules. Got to make it to the white flag for this race to be official. If not, we'll rack them up and try it again. Pace car makes the left turn down to the pits. Here we go. Field will be handed back to Christopher McCullough and Kyler Wynn as they'll roll up into the Geico restart zone, hopefully for the final time here tonight to crown a champion and a race winner. Green flag back in the air. 2 laps to go here at Talladega, and it's a good restart for the outside line. Look at the push from Malik Ray to Kyler Wynn. He's going to get not only his teammate, but maybe himself clear as well before they get down to turn 1. Not quite enough to get them both clear, at least not yet. Christopher McCullough going to start to fight back. He's got a push now from Daniel Falkingham in the 54. There's the move. Kyler Wynn's going to jump down to the inside, throws the block on Christopher McCullough. Further back, Landon Veliky, he found a spot to jump up, as did Dylan Jones. Dylan now going to work back to the bottom. Matthew Baker here, he's going to try to work with Veliky, I think, but Veliky's going to have some speed with that car. They're starting to get a little bit of a run going back towards the front. Brock Westmoreland, what will he do? Does he think about jumping out of line, or does he stay planted where he is? Garrett Maines just a couple rows ahead of Dylan Jones and Landon Veliky as they work into the short chute. This will be coming to the white flag. Can everybody make it? Jones slides up in front of Veliky. Here we go. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go at Talladega. Veliky's going to be the first to make the move. He sees the run from out back. Here comes a push from the 78 of Evan Carlbon. Not going to be a big push, but will it be enough? Up front, you've got Kyler Wynn still leading the way. He's getting pushed by Christopher McCullough. Watch for Chris to make one more jump out of line, and will that jump be enough to get him the lead? Malik Ray surging up for one more big run on the outside. Oh, Kyler's going to get turned. Kyler gets turned to the inside. Big hit to the inside wall. Up front, Christopher McCullough's going to stay in it. He'll now take the point, but here comes Malik Ray back on the outside. Veliky still fighting hard out back. Does Jones have one more run now? Falkingham's going to get turned. He's going to try to save it. Falkingham's going to hold on for the moment. Chris looks up for the side draft. He'll get a little physical with Malik. They're all wrecking out back, all the way back to the line. Who's going to get here first? Malik Ray is going to win the race back to the line, and it's going to be Garrett Maines who takes the championship. Malik Ray grabs the race win. Garrett Maines is your Season 5 champion. He won the regular season championship. Now he wins the postseason championship. How about that one for a finish? Wow, what a crazy sequence of last laps as Estrella's going to clean out Garrett. Doesn't want him to come around and celebrate. Garrett's going to save it anyway, and for Malik Ray, we might see a little bit of a double burnout here. These are going to be 2 very amped up drivers. Garrett Maines with that second place finish, he's going to be taking home a very, very handsome sum of money here tonight. We'll tell you what that is here before we do post-race interviews. And the big wreck out back ended up scoring it to where Dylan Jones finished second in the championship 4 battle. And then I believe it was Landon Veliky who finished third in the championship 4 battle, with Joshua McCullough finishing 5th in the championship battle. Or excuse me, finishing 4th in the championship battle. And sure enough, that is how it played out. So here comes Malik Ray. Garrett Maines going to bring it around as well. We'll see a bit of a double burnout here. I don't know if we got... We'll try to capture it all in one camera view here. There's Garrett. There goes Malik. Well, that's a good feeling. You're Garrett Maines. You win the championship. You bring home second. But that's the one race that you're completely okay with not winning. For Garrett Maines, what a streak it has been. Tuesday Night Thunder is, I mean, it's just kind of become kind of his trademark series. Garrett Maines, that is. And Malik Ray with another win here tonight to add to his ongoing domination in the money racing scene. So before we get into your official results here tonight, I do want to go back and take one more look at this finish here. And where things all started to really kind of break loose here was pretty much off of turn 4. This is looking from the blimp cam. Watches Osronoth going to give Falkingham a shot right there. And I think he's getting pushed through by Chase Mastretta, or is he not here? And maybe he's not. He's just got a big run, and he gets into the back of Falkingham. It just starts to turn Falkingham around here a little bit. It gets him just a little bit offset, and round she goes. But what happened here on the backstretch to kind of win is certainly something I'm a bit curious about. Is it just a little bit of a push gone wrong here? I believe that's all it was. Let's see here. So Chris is trying to push Kyler here, but I think he's going to get him offset. Watch the 82 right here's a big push right there. Yeah, just gets Kyler offset. Brings the 82 around. And he might have been getting pushed through. And Chris's defense here, I think Falkingham, did he have a 3-car tandem going? It was close. And if they did, then it's kind of hard to fault that fully on Chris because he's getting obviously pushed through here. And it looks like Falkingham is trying the 3-car tandem there. Just an unfortunate break right there for Kyler, who looked like was going to maybe have this race locked up with the way he had it going there in the last lap. And then as Falkingham starts to get turned, Garrett sees that. He immediately jumps high, says, I want no part of that. They start to save it, but then out back, they just start to wreck all over the place. See Joshua McCullough, Landon Veliky get together. Veliky saves it. And coming to the line, Garrett, no contest. Going to win it. Brock Westmoreland, really good dive there at the end to try to steal second. Just not quite enough. All right, so as we take a look at your official final results here, I guess I should say unofficial for now, but it is Malik Ray being scored as your race winner. Garrett Maines being scored in second and your Season 5 champion, with Brock Westmoreland finishing in third. Dylan Jones back in fourth. Michael Triscaro in fifth. Christopher McCullough in sixth. Then it's Daniel Falkingham back in seventh with Chase Mastretta in eighth. Evan Carlbon in ninth with Trevor Osronoth rounding out your top 10. Kenny Reel finishes back in 11th. Landon Veliky in 12th with Stephen Miles in 13th. You've got Richard Elliott back in 14th. Matthew Baker is in 15th. Matt Lee in 16th with Jeff Merck in 17th. And it's Joshua McCullough back in 18th. And rounding out your top 20 here tonight in 19th, Ethan Eckert and Kyler Wynn after that last lap incident finishes in 20th. Ken McCullough Jr. finishes 21st. Austin Wise 22nd. Tucker McClendon in 23rd with Jared Haynes 24th. Devin Ray back in 25th. And then it's going to be Chris Walker 26th, Cody Nagels in 27th with Jimmy Emos 28th, Mike Davenport 29th, Jason Maines in 30th, and Mark Vondell rounding out the field here tonight in 31st. All right, so again, we're going to go grab your top 3 for interviews, but before we do that, I want to just see if I can get a brief insight here of some of the prize money that some of these drivers won here tonight. So first, we can start with Malik Ray because I believe we know exactly how much he won. Wasn't one of the Championship 4 drivers or any of the playoff driver positions. So the money that he should be going home with here tonight is going to be $250. Now for Garrett, he's going to be the biggest winner here tonight as he is going to be taking home, obviously, the $600 prize for first place in the championship, and he'll also be taking home $200 in addition for that second place finish with a grand total of $850. Brock Westmoreland, who finished back in third, he'll be receiving a pretty good payout as well, as he'll be taking home, remember, he made it to the round of 8, so he won that battle, so he'll be taking home $200 for the round of 8 championship battle, if you will, and then he'll be taking home $150 for the third place finish here tonight, so he's going to be going home with $350. Good payday for Brock Westmoreland as well. All right, with that, we're going to go grab your top 3 for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Talladega. All right, welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. We're going to start first here tonight with your race winner, Malik Ray. Malik, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy.
Yo, how you doing, man?
Good. Well, you grabbed the race win and was really kind of a crazy sequence there, especially on the last lap. I mean, what was kind of going through your head? You saw your teammate get turned on the backstretch. Did you think that you'd still have the setup and the push out back to get the job done?
I was a little nervous down the back straightaway. Like I think Dan, I think he pushed Chris, which then pushed Kyler offset, and then that's what, caused him to wreck. And I was just, I was just trying not to get killed myself, and then Dan got turned in turn 3, and then I was trying to, also not get hit by that, and, it just works out.
Yeah, it worked out very well here tonight. And obviously it was a big race. It was a championship race. And while, you weren't running for the championship or any of the playoff payouts, it still was a bit of a different format, 100 laps, a longer race. How did you kind of feel about the racing tonight? Did it feel like it had kind of a different feel with all the money that was on the line and all the things that different drivers were fighting for?
Not necessarily. I think everybody was pretty calm and collected up until the backstretch thing where, everybody was going for everything, which is understandable because it's the white flag or whatever. But I mean, I don't know, man. It just felt the same for me. Probably because I wasn't in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, well, it still works out with a pretty good payout here tonight, $250 richer. So before we let you head out here, Malik, for the final time this season, is there anyone you want to thank and shout out? And also, do you have any plans on trying to run Tuesday Night Thunder next season?
Yes, I will be back. And I appreciate y'all for broadcasting and Ron for putting on the series and Matt, because I was working with him towards the end, and Kyler and Garrett, obviously. So.
And Malik, thank you.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, Malik, thank you for talking to us. Congrats again on the race win. Good way to end out the season, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, man.
All right, now that's going to bring us, before we get to your championship winner, we'll get to your third place finisher, which is Brock Westmoreland. Brock, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, man, you got me.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, this was a pretty big payday for you. You finished third in the race, but with the way the whole payout format was set up, you also get the additional $200 for winning the other 4 championship battles. So first of all, I mean, how you feeling? I mean, it looked like you brought out more aggression here tonight, and it seems like it really paid off there at the end.
Yeah, I was just trying to go for it. Thought I was going to have a shot to win there, coming through 3 and 4. But the way it just shook up there, kind of had to just stay in line to the tri-oval. Just didn't have enough of a run to go for the win. But hell of a race, though. It's probably one of the best races of green flag stretch we've had in a while.
Yeah, it certainly was. And I mean, really, the thing that kind of got you as far as you did this season in the playoffs and ultimately gave you the opportunity to run for as much money as you could here tonight was the consistency. You had it all season that got you this far. What was the thing that kind of allowed you to have that consistency through all the races, even though some were chaotic, some were more tame?
Yeah, I don't know. I just tried to keep my nose clean most of the time, and had a few bad runs there and late in the season, and then had a couple bad runs in round 2 that made me miss that final 4 by 2 or 3 points. Just some bad luck on them last few, but yeah, I tried to be as consistent as possible throughout the season, and I think it paid off for sure.
Most definitely. The good runs got you really far in the playoffs, and now you'll have some momentum to work with starting next season. So before we let you go for the final time this season, Brock, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, just thank Ron for putting this on, and you guys in PGR for the broadcast, and just everybody with a good, clean race there. Thank you, guys.
Brock, thank you for talking to us again. Congrats on the third place finish, and hopefully we'll see you again next season.
Gotcha.
All right, now that's going to bring us up to your Season 5 champion, Garrett Maines. Garrett, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, you've been in this spot before, but yet again, you claimed the season championship. You claimed the regular season championship as well. First of all, how does it feel to not only grab the sweep, but take home $850 here tonight?
Well, I would have liked to have done that a little bit better. I don't know. It just kind of sucks there. I was trying to help Baker, and there on the restart, everybody's pushing hard, and I just didn't realize that it started walking him up the hill. I got him about 1 foot, 2 feet off the white line, which, I mean, I hadn't moved off of it. I just didn't realize how much it had pushed him up until it was too late. I didn't think it was going to be a problem. I mean, every single restart, you push hard on the first corner, but fortunately, I got him there and got him jacked up sideways and kind of, sparked a chain reaction there. Nobody was going to lift. It's, basically 2 to go. So, go figure, we're 5-6 wide down the backstretch. Everybody's trying to merge back on. Nobody really cared if there was space or not. And, a few people got screwed in that. And Baker ended up going from second, or technically the lead, back to 10th. And it looks like he kind of got screwed on the restart. So, I hate it for him. I hate it for anybody else that got caught up in that. Just not really the way I wanted to do it. I felt like we were in really good position all night long, in control of this race, most of it. There at the end, I mean, it was just don't screw it up. And I almost did that. So, I don't know, it's just a little disappointing, but at the same time, we came away with the win, and big shout out to Malik there at the end, being aware of what was going on and being able to move up the hill with me, and he was working with me there, and I didn't want to leave him out. He was doing everything he needed to win the race, but also keep me in championship position. So obviously, I felt like I had to commit there. I didn't want to screw him over. He deserved that win. So. Shout out to him as well.
We saw at the end there, before all the chaos broke out that you were just talking about, kind of a setup where you had Dylan Jones and Landon Veliky kind of starting to line up behind you on the outside. What was kind of going through your head at that point? And I mean, how does the mindset change when you get to the end of these races, knowing that you're not so much fighting for the win, but you're trying to hold off 3 other championship drivers behind you?
I'll be honest with you, I didn't even realize that was going to be a factor there at the end. I mean, there's only so much I could do to control where I was. I didn't feel like hopping to third lane was ever going to be an option for me at the end. So I tried to control what I could control, and keep my eyes out the windshield as much as possible. But yeah, just kind of messed up the order there with 2 to go. But was able to rebound from that, get back into position, and get it done tonight. So at the end of the day, that's what we needed. We stayed in front of the people we needed to stay in front of at the end. It didn't have to play defense, so or didn't have to play offense, and wasn't really in a position to have to play defense either. So overall, I mean, it's been one heck of a season. A whole lot better this year than last year. Took till the end of the year to get a resurgence. So happy to be able to close it out with the good finish and take home the championship.
Absolutely. So with that, before we let you head out here for the final time this season, Garrett, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah. Gotta give a huge thank you to Scott at MCU Body. Thanks to Linux, and also shout out to the guys at Riker Performance. Also another shout out to Malik, and also thank you to Kyler. He kind of made it happen there at the end, starting from the front row. So big thank you to those guys tonight.
Garrett, thank you for talking to us. Congrats on the 2nd place finish. Congrats on the Season 5 championship, and hopefully we'll see you again next season.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Well, with that is going to wrap up our coverage here tonight at Talladega. Tell you what, it was certainly one of the better races we've seen during this season. It got a little chaotic there towards the end, but ultimately it's Malik Ray who comes home with the win, and Garrett Maines who brings home the season championship. What a great season it was, too. We appreciate everybody tuning in throughout the entire season, all the drivers that showed up to make it happen. As always, I hope that everyone enjoyed. That's it for this season, but hopefully we'll be back again next season with more Tuesday Night Thunder. So for tonight, that's it for me, Austin Green, here on PGR eSports, and until next time, have a good night.